Lights, Camera, Razberry Sweet. Razberry Sweet, Book 3. Written by Megan Linsky, narrated by AJ Carter. Chapter 1.
Raz! Raz! Raz!
An excited crowd chants my name as the limo I'm riding in pulls up to the Chinese theater on Hollywood's Walk of Fame. A smile spreads across my face. It's showtime. As I exit the limo onto the red carpet, straightening my $1,000 navy blue suit, hundreds of people cheer. I ruffle my hair, lower my sunglasses, and give the crowd a wink. The noise grows even louder. My hand waves in greeting as the flashing cameras blind me. I strike a pose before throwing my head back, laughing as if I don't have a care in the world. I snicker to myself as I think of the bullies back at Tin York High who'd shoved me into trash cans and stuffed my head in the toilet. I bet I was all over their television screens back in Connecticut and they just couldn't stand it. They could eat shit. I was famous as hell now. I whip out my pen to sign a couple of autographs. One guy leaps over the velvet ropes and cries out,
Mr. Sweet, please sign my pants!
Sorry, dude, but that's going a bit too far. I grin as I watch security drag him away. He pleads with the bouncers to give him 5 more seconds with his favorite actor of all time. A group of girls giggle nearby. I do that thing where I point my fingers and cluck my tongue, and one of them passes out. Excuse me, ladies, but I can't stay long. Gotta go see my movie, I say smoothly.
Mr. Sweet, please, before you go, show us your abs!
A girl shrieks. Well, if you insist. I open up my suit jacket to reveal a stone-hard six-pack, and the crowd goes crazy. He's so good with women, I hear one of my co-actors grumble with jealousy as I go to enter the theater. How does he do it? I clap him on the shoulder as I pass and say, some of us got it, man, and some of us don't.
God damn, he's so cool. I wish I could be him,
the director sighs. I grin. Everybody does. I walk through the double doors of the theater, expecting to see a premiere release party with hundreds of celebrities. Instead, I enter a gray room, one that's void of light. The doors shut behind me and vanish, cutting out all sound and leaving no exit. The room is completely empty. Well, almost empty. My parents tower over me as massive marble statues, their intimidating stares making me shrink several inches.
Why are you wasting your life with this acting business?
Dad booms.
You need to find something more secure.
Stop wasting your life on silly dreams, Mom purrs. It's time to face reality. No, I won't listen. I turn on my heel and sprint to the other side of the room. A door materializes as I run. I hurry through it, only to body slam against a figure that's twice my size. Oof! I fall to the ground, then look up. Principal Max Goose is standing above me, his lip curled in disgust.
For God's sake, Sweet, get off the floor,
Goose snarls.
You should be in class.
Class? I blink. The gray room around me melts until I'm standing in a hallway inside of Limesville High School, surrounded by lockers. I get to my feet slowly, taking in my surroundings.
Follow me,
Goose says in a voice that sounds like a honk. He leads me into a classroom where he pushes open the door and points inside. I enter the classroom and instantly become confused when I become surrounded by what can only be described as some sort of nightclub. Techno music thrums in the background and long steel poles are embedded into the floor. All the students in the classroom are dancing around the poles.
Pay attention, Sweet,
Goose barks.
Welcome to your first day of Partying 101.
Hey, look, Principal Goose!
Pepper barks as she twirls around a pole.
We're learning!
There's a massive stage at the end of the room where a singular spotlight shines. It looks hot and lonely and all too intimidating. Suddenly, the dancing in the room stops. The place goes silent as every single pair of eyes fall on me. Every person in the room robotically turns in a creepy, disturbing way to form a circle around me.
Well, Sweet, here you are.
Goose says, gesturing sharply to the stage.
Get up there and tell us what you've been dying to say.
I've gone speechless. I can't. A figure emerges from the crowd. Puppy. Her gaze is cold and cruel, and there's nothing for me in her eyes as she approaches. No affection, no friendship, nothing. This is what you always wanted, isn't it, Raz? She asks flatly. Now's your chance to suck up all the attention. What you always wanted, the rest of the room repeats in a horrifying chant. A shiver runs across my skin as I manage to swallow down the lump in my throat. Seeing her now, it's painful. Puppy, what's going on? Puppy sneers. Oh, nothing. We're all trapped inside another one of your dreams again. Thanks for the warning, Raz. I really wanted to be here. What? I blink. I can't understand her. You're never going to be anything to anyone, Puppy growls. So wake up. She pushes me as hard as she can. I go tumbling backward, but I don't hit the floor. I fall downward into a black hole that swallows me up, and I keep tumbling through the blackness, never hitting the bottom. Because the bottom has no end. It's endless. Just like my sadness, it goes on and on. I wake up when it feels like my body slams against the ground. I jump to a start. My sharp movement upward causes me to smack my temple against a shelf that's hanging over my bed. I groan, then put my arms over my head to shield myself from textbooks that come tumbling off. One of them smacks me in the face, and my eyes water. I stumble out of bed and to my desk to grab a couple of tissues to stem the blood coming from my nose. I look at myself in the mirror, see the blood streaked across my face, and give a sigh. Already shaping up to be a great day. I swear to God, my dreams are getting more and more ridiculous. Probably because I'm becoming delusional. Who am I kidding? I'm already there. I would appreciate a nightmare about anything but high school. I graduated from Limesville a while ago, and I have no desire to relive anything that happened as a teenager. Thank you very much. I stagger around my college dorm room, looking for any clothes that might be clean scattered amongst the pile on the floor. I don't see any. I haven't done laundry in days. I give up and figure I'll just have to go to class in the clothes I slept in before I open up my dresser drawer and start counting out pills. ADHD meds? Check. Antidepressants? Check. Anti-anxiety pills? Check. Yeah, I'm a mess. Have been for a while, but I can hardly blame myself. I try to recall moments from the dream and find that they're foggy. My meds make my dreams insane. I vaguely recall the walk on the red carpet and roll my eyes at how obnoxious it had been. I used to be like that. Not anymore. If one thing from the dream were true, I kind of wish it was the six-pack. I'm such a tall and stringy guy that girls don't look my way unless it's to ask me to hold their purse while they move something heavy by themselves. Not that I want them to notice me anyway. I've already dated one girl, and that short-lived relationship messed me up for too damn long. It's been years, and I'm still not over her. Obsessive? Oh, yeah. Embarrassing and pathetic? Definitely. Still hurts? Absolutely. And it feels like it's going to until the day I die. I'm being overdramatic about it, but it's not like I can get away from what happened. Not when I see Puppy's face on every billboard in this town. I just want to go home. I grumble to myself, but I can't. Not yet. I promised Aunt Sarah I'd stick it out for one more semester. If I decide college isn't for me, then I can go back to Limesville. I doubt anything's going to get better. Senior year sucked. My first year of college sucked. At this point, I'm willing to do anything just to stop the suck. I thought college would be like Hogwarts or something, or like the endless frat parties I've seen in comedies. But no, it's far from magical or fun. California Shores University is a nice campus, with some pretty cool people, but I haven't managed to do anything since I've been here but sulk in my room, accumulate student loans, and feel sorry for myself. My own fault, I guess. I'm not putting my best efforts in, and my aunt knows that, which is why she wants me to stay for another semester and give it one more shot. But she doesn't understand how hard it is to get out of bed. I scowl as I look at my messy hair in the mirror. Okay, fine, I'm depressed. It's hard for me to be social, and even harder for me to feel like I'm fitting in without faking it. Again, my own fault. I'd crafted a fake identity and lived it out for nearly a year. No wonder I'm having an identity crisis now. College is where you're supposed to find yourself. Problem is, I don't know where I'm hiding. I only know why, but my why isn't good enough anymore. I need to pull myself together and figure this out, because I can't waste away in my dorm for the rest of my life. I show up late to introduction to screen acting. The professor looks irritated, but he doesn't say anything. This time. I barely listen to the lecture and don't bother to take notes. When we're in the middle of workshopping scenes, I perform my character's dialogue half-ass. My professor shakes his head as he watches my performance, writes down a couple of marks on his clipboard, and moves on to the next student. I sit through a couple more lectures and go through the motions during other acting workshops. While I'm waiting in line to grab lunch from the school cafeteria, I check my grades on my phone. Latest updates are a C- in nearly every class. Hardly passing. That great Limesville education isn't going to fly here, I think sourly, before I grab half a sandwich and an apple for lunch. I'm not very hungry.
Did you see Carmen Diaga in the new superhero movie?
A girl ahead of me asks as she grabs a seltzer water from the drink cooler. I recognize her from one of my acting classes.
Yeah, she's so talented for such a new actress. It's like she came out of nowhere, her friend responds.
I ignore the sound of Puppy's real name. I have to tell myself she's Carmen, someone totally different from the girl I adored, but it doesn't stick. I sit at an empty table and pretend to be immersed in my food, which I don't want to eat. I'm attending a school across the country, almost 3,000 miles away from home, and though I'm in my second year of college, this hasn't gotten any easier. I don't get it. I wanted to come here. I'd been excited when I got my acceptance letter. So why have I felt so empty since I got here? It's not like I have any friends. Pepper hasn't spoken to me since senior year. She joined her boyfriend's friend group and dipped out of ours after Puppy failed to return to Limesville. Soldier and I had been friends, until he'd gotten engaged a few months ago. He wants to marry Dolly as soon as possible so she can be on base once the army ships him off to God only knows where. He'd asked me to be a groomsman in his wedding, until one evening a few weeks ago he'd called to let me know that I was no longer in the wedding party or invited to the ceremony. But if I wanted, I could still come to the reception and bring a gift. I'd clearly said no thanks. He'd taken that offensively.
Bro, sorry you've had to stick up your ass since you got dumped, but high school is over. It's time to let it go.
Sounded like he was letting me go, but whatever. What was between him and I had nothing to do with what went down with Puppy, but I knew his fiancée didn't like me, so that friendship had parted fairly bitterly. Zora and I occasionally texted back and forth a few times a semester. Except 2 months ago, he told me he was going through a lot and needed space. I haven't heard from him since. Puppy and I, we don't associate. I haven't spoken to her since that last big fight, not one word, and she hasn't bothered to reach out to me, so I guess it's really over between us. Forget exes. We're not friends anymore, or even acquaintances.
Bethany died.
She overdosed on drugs after she got out of her last stint in prison.
and by the time the ambulance had shown up, there was nothing anybody could do. I can't even think about her, because if I do, I just fall apart. I really wish I could have saved her, but Bethany didn't want to be saved. She chose the path she went down, and there was nothing I could do to get her off of it. I didn't go to her funeral, and she's been gone for over a year now, but losing her has definitely made my depression worse. We never had another conversation after that last talk in the hospital, and I feel like our friendship was left unfinished. A book that just ended in the middle of the page. I've isolated myself since I got to CSU. Losing the friend group I had, after we'd all been so close, has really eaten away at me. I don't feel like getting involved with anyone else after getting ditched. Experiencing my friends choosing to walk out of my life one by one has been way harder than being a loner. I regret that I didn't stick to myself through the rest of high school. If I had remained friendless and stayed lonely, it wouldn't hurt this much now. Raz! Someone calls my name over the sounds of the cafeteria. My heart jumps at the voice and starts beating fast. I look up. Mamie. She's the only good thing about this place. She's studying stage management and is the only person attending CSU who's from Limesville. It was kind of a funny thing to find out we were in the same graduating class during freshman orientation. We hang out every now and then, though I'm pretty sure she wishes it was more often. She's the only person I still talk to from back home. My only friend left, really. Mamie's smile is so bright when she sees me. It could light up the entire world. Then her smile falls into a frown as she looks me over. Raz, you've worn those clothes 2 days in a row. I shrug. Don't have time to do any laundry. Her shoulders slump as she sits in the seat beside mine, putting her lunch tray on the table. Drop a bag of clothes off at my dorm tonight, okay? I'll wash them for you. I'd say no if it was anyone else. I don't want to take advantage of others because I can't keep myself together. But Mamie's different. She's the only one getting me through this. I give a weak smile. Okay. She takes a breath. Anyway, I don't know if you saw, but I already know what she's asking. Mamie, no more auditions. It's perfect for you, she argues. It was posted on the school's audition board this morning. They want students, and it's your favorite show. I pause. Colorado Snow? Yes! They want fresh faces for the new season. You can't tell me you're not interested. I tap my fingers on the table before I shake my head. No way. I've done 1 million auditions since I've been here, and I'm sick of them. I'm tired of shouting out into the void never to be heard. If I get one more rejection, you'll never be seen if you give up. Nobody cares, Mamie. I'm never going to get hired. Producers don't notice me. It's really demeaning, putting myself out there again and again just to go unnoticed. Try one more time, Mamie says firmly. This is one of the best universities in the world for acting, and you're a student here. That counts for something. You just need to be recognized by the right people. Oh, sure. That's all it's going to take. I cross my arms and sit back in my chair. It's not like I've done anything credible, like all the other students here. Half the kids in our class have had a small role in daytime television as child actors. I'm just a nobody. You've been the lead role in your own indie movie. A stupid high school thing. It doesn't mean anything. Mamie huffs. If it didn't mean anything, it wouldn't have counted toward your application, and it did. The directors of the program were impressed with everything you sent in, especially your audition. It's what got you that scholarship, which I'm about to lose, I shoot back at her. And once I do, I'm not going to afford to keep coming here. My parents had offered to pay for college, but once they found out I wanted to study acting, they refused to put a dime toward my education. My scholarship, coupled with the loans I've taken out, is the only thing keeping me on campus. Don't lose it then. Get your grades up, Mamie says simply. It's not that easy. There are too many good actors in my class. I can't compete here. Bullshit, Mamie states.
Like I said, your audition was better than most, so my audition was good, and it impressed a couple of admissions officers. Big deal. It wasn't good, it was amazing, Mamie insists. They wouldn't have admitted you to the school if you didn't have major talent. People would do anything to be in your position, Raz. I know she's right. I'd sent in my audition tape to CSU's acting department on a whim before I graduated high school. I'd been competing against kids who'd taken acting classes and attended expensive art schools their entire lives, so I didn't think I had a chance. Until I'd gotten in and they hadn't. It had been such a shock at the time, and a big honor. My whole family had celebrated, and I was letting them all down by not applying myself to this program. But she didn't understand. I wasn't that 17-year-old kid who had stars in his eyes anymore. Look, Mamie says, and she reaches out to grasp my hand. You attending CSU, it's impressive. That's enough to get you in the door. If you audition for the show and they don't hire you, then I won't bug you to go to another one. But you gotta at least try, Raz. Please. For me. I can't say no to her. I've let down too many people in the past 2 years, and Mamie isn't going to be another name on that list. Fine, I'll go. I cave, and Mamie beams. But don't expect me to be happy about it. You will be, Mamie says coyly, once you land the lead. Sure, okay. I squeeze her hand before I pull away. You don't get it. There's gatekeepers in this industry guarding the doors to success. I've knocked a bajillion times, and it hasn't gotten me anywhere. Nobody's going to let me in. Mamie smirks. She leans in and whispers, Then make your own damn door.
Chapter 2.
I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm sitting in a chair in the hallway of an office building, but not just any building. This is the main studio for Cinemix Central, the biggest streaming corporation in the world. They're the company that makes Colorado Snow, and they're at the top of the entertainment industry right now. I feel dumbfounded to actually be given this chance. I know my enrollment at CSU was what got me in, but can I play the part? Colorado Snow is a modern Western drama with a complex plot and dynamic characters. The actors that work on the show are the best of the best. The show has won multiple Oscars, and the headliner won Performer of the Year for his role. It's a show that everybody knows and everyone watches, so I can't believe that I actually have a chance to shoot my shot. I've seen every episode at least 3 times, so I'm a huge fan. The writing, the acting, all the visuals, it's all brilliant, a complete masterpiece. I don't know if I have what it takes to make it onto such a blockbuster hit, but Mamie seems to think I do, so I'm here. Only a couple of guys have shown up so far to the audition, and I recognize them from my classes. I know all of them are pretty damn good. Better than me, I'm sure. And I know they all have agents who are constantly looking for roles for them, and I don't. I'm completely unrepresented. I checked the notes I was given by the casting director when I got here. The role is small, for a side character named Roy Bodaway, though the notes say they're looking to make him a main player in the next season. He's supposed to be quiet, kind of a lurker. I think I can play him, though to be honest, I don't really know what I'm doing. But still, if I land my audition and get the role, it'll be big. Razberry Sweet, the casting director, calls my name and doesn't bat an eye. Back home in Connecticut, it was weird. But I'm in California now, and nobody pays attention to strange monikers here. One of the girls in my theater class is legally named Pineapple, so I guess fruit names are in. Points for me? Not to mention, it's my legal name now. I made sure the day I turned 18 to walk into the courthouse and file to change it, as a too long-awaited birthday present to myself. My parents were pretty pissed, like I couldn't even have ownership of what I wanted to call myself. Screw them. I can't be thinking of them right now. I stand up and take a breath. Make my own damn door. Make my own damn door. I can do this. I enter into a small room with 3 people. I'm surprised. I figured a show this large would need 1 million opinions before they hired the next big star, but guess not. This feels too eerily familiar to what I've done before. Trying to suppress the nausea, I keep my eyes focused ahead as the casting director turns the camera on. Please state your name and give a cold reading of the script, the casting director says. I swallow. That's it? Yes, that's all we need. Please, do your best to play the part. I'm not here to impress anybody. I'm just going to read the script, then walk out. It's not like this is going anywhere. I have no attachment to this role. I'm just here to get back in the saddle. I haven't auditioned in so long, and Mamie's right. Time to put myself out there. I clear my throat. I'm Razberry Sweet, and I'm auditioning for the role of Roy Bodaway. I flip through the audition notes and begin the reading. It's a sad, cruel world out there when a fella can't trust his friends. We've been through hellfire and brimstone on this ranch, but the worst thing I've seen is how the pair of y'all turn on one another, like a pack of wild coyotes hungry for a meal. Y'all tear into each other worse than I've ever seen, and you know what? We used to be family. But now I reckon I don't understand anymore what family is or what it means. Because if this can happen here on this ranch, then anything can happen anywhere. I used to think wild horses couldn't drag me away from here. And now, I find myself thinking I could hop onto that stallion of yours and just keep riding away, and never look back. The piece is so short. I don't know how the casting directors can deduce anything from such a tiny bit of dialogue. I look up when I finish. I can't read the eyes of anyone in the room. Everyone is so stoic. After a long pause, the casting director nods. Thank you. You may go. This is the simplest audition I've ever done. I must have performed poorly. They would ask me questions if they were considering me for the role. I thank them for their time and leave. I'm barely on the bus back to campus before I'm on the phone with Mamie. I told you they wouldn't want me, I say, looking out the window as the streets of Los Angeles roll by. I was hardly there for 5 minutes. But you did it anyway, and I'm proud of you, Mamie insists. Maybe you can go to another... You promised, I remind her. I told you, one and done. She giggles. I guess I did. Where are you? Passing through Santa Monica. I gotta stop and get some lunch. Well, you better hurry up. Class starts soon. I know. I'll be there. I hop off the bus at the edge of Santa Monica, because I know I'll be sitting in LA traffic longer than it'll take me to walk back to campus from here. CSU is based right on the edge of the city, and to be honest, it's a cool area. I grab a waffle sandwich from a food truck, and I inhale it in less than a minute on my walk back to school. Mamie got me hooked on breakfast sandwiches, because she's obsessed with them. I don't know why, but I really like them now. When I order one, it makes me think of her. My next class is held in the school auditorium. Acting for the theater is probably one of my favorite classes, mainly because I don't feel as much pressure to perform. I'm studying film, not stage acting, so I don't feel the need to outshine the rest of the theater nerds here. This was an easy elective to add on to my schedule. I approach the massive stage and sit down in one of the auditorium seats. Mamie is already there. She turns to me and unrolls a new makeup bag. Check out all the new stuff I bought for class! Very cool, I say. I pick up a couple of tubes and ask, you guys getting into fantasy design? There's a special effects makeup competition on campus at the end of the semester, and I want to compete, she gushes. I'm good at makeup design, but my molding and casting need work. I don't know what Mamie's talking about. I'd been there during her presentation last semester for her special effects class, and the makeup design she'd done was incredible. She turned her partner into a living, breathing sea creature that looked real. I couldn't even tell it was makeup. It had taken over 12 hours and was the most impressive design in the class. Unless the whole thing is rigged, I'm certain she's going to win that upcoming competition. A bunch of people flood in as we wait for the professor to show up. Eventually, he walks on stage. Glad to see you're all here this afternoon, he says brightly. I have a very special announcement. Faria Mayhem, Mamie's uncle, is the instructor for this class. I figure a big studio executive like him would be too busy making films and rolling in his millions to bother teaching college courses, but Fario had insisted to us at the beginning of the semester that teaching acting was one of his passions, and he wanted to pass his skills on to the next generation. I really like the guy and don't want to let him down, so this is the one class I don't slack off in. Plus, he's Mamie's uncle, so I want to make sure he likes me. Not for any reason, mind you. Just don't want to get on the guy's bad side if I'm palling around with his niece. Ferio catches my gaze. He gives me an encouraging nod before he says, I have exciting news. The school board has chosen to fund a student-led play for this semester's fall performance, and the dean has asked our class to put on the show. The whole class instantly lights up. Shows happen on campus all the time, but the roles are super hard to get with all the acting talent we have at CSU. For anyone to even have a short bit of time on stage at this college is a big honor.
What play are we doing?
Pineapple asks. Ferio broadly smiles. That's the best part. The school requested that the script be original, written by one of the students in our class. Raz should do it. Aviel, a dude who's in most of my other classes, volunteers me immediately. I hear a bunch of others agree. If he does it, it'll be brilliant.
Yeah, Raz!
Pineapple shouts.
That'd be great!
Come on, guys, I complain. This is everyone's passion here. Certainly somebody has written a script we can use. We're actors, not writers, Aviel objects. So am I insist. This isn't my forte. Raz, you have a whole script that you finished in your playwriting class, Mamie adds. A dumb thing that I wrote last year, I say, waving a hand. It doesn't matter. It was at the top of the class, Mamie objects. Everyone voted that it was the best. A bunch of kids mutter in agreement. At least half of them had been in that playwriting class with me, and they'd workshopped my script. I got a lot of feedback telling me I had talent. I still think everyone needs to get their eyes checked.
Raz, the characters you wrote were very compelling. I'd love to get a chance to play a role like that,
Pineapple insists. Me too. I thought that the story was very powerful. I want my shot at that secondary role, Aviel says. It's not like that, I protest, but no one's listening. They're already assigning roles to themselves based on the characters they liked the most in my script. I didn't realize anyone would even remember that play from last year. I guess I must have said something important in that script for everyone to still be thinking about it months later. Ferio clears his throat. I would like to remind the class that the board wants this play put on in the late fall, which is less than 3 months from now. Otherwise, they'll pull funding, which means we will have to get started on producing this play immediately if we're going to make it a success. There isn't much time for us to write an entire script from scratch. Thanks, school board, for giving us no leeway. Why didn't they hold a script writing contest or something, so the best student playwright could get their play produced? I don't deserve an opportunity like this. But everyone's looking at me, so I sigh. Okay, fine. I guess I'll do it. Wonderful! Ferio claps his hands. That settles it! I need to go back and make some changes. I can bring the script in at the end of the week, I say.
This is going to be great!
Pineapple gushes.
I'll finally get some time on stage!
Aviel high-fives one of his friends, and I roll my eyes. They're about to be super disappointed. I'm annoyed when class is over. Everyone pestered me all hour about my play, endlessly going on about how they wanted to present it on stage, what costumes we were going to make, and how we were going to build the set. I really wish they'd pick something else, but no turning back now. Look on the bright side, Mamie offers as we walk out of the auditorium and onto the campus grounds. This is a chance for you to make some new friends. I don't want any more friends, I growl. Really, I don't. But this is cool, Mamie says. It's like we get a chance to do the movie from high school all over again. I groan. Can you please never bring that movie back up again? It sucks. It does not suck. It's a little dated, but still amazing, Mamie says. I watch it all the time. I haven't watched our old high school movie since we graduated, and I have no intention to ever again. It makes me wince, and not just because Puppy's in it, or because we kiss on screen. Might be a big part of it, though. My phone rings. The number is one I don't recognize. Usually I'd ignore it, but something in my gut tells me to pick up. Hello?
Yes, is this Mr. Sweet?
It is? Who the hell is calling?
It's Harmon Weiner. I'm the director of Colorado Snow.
My God. I could barely speak as I rasp. Wow, I'm a big fan. He laughs before he says,
Well, you don't need to be a fan anymore, son, because we want you to be part of the crew. We're offering you the role of Roy Bottaway. Are you interested?
Yes, 1,000,000,000 times yes. I remind myself that I'm not some girl being proposed to, and I need to be professional before I manage to squeak out, Definitely. I'm interested. Yes.
We'd like to start filming the next season as soon as possible. Are you open?
Anytime, I say. Just let me know.
Perfect. I'll tell the team to get the rest of the details to you, and we'll have you come in and sign a contract. Sound good?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, of course. See you on set, son.
The director hangs up. I sway on my feet. Mamie has to catch me before I fall to the ground. Raz, what? Mamie pushes me upward, struggling under my weight. I take a deep breath and try not to pass out. Holy shit. What is it? Mamie asks, grasping my arm. I got the part, I breathe, winded. For Colorado snow? Her eyes pop out of her head. Yeah! I give a whoop and start jumping up and down. I can't believe it! I'm hired! I'm hired! You're hired! Mamie screams. She wraps me in a big hug, and we start bouncing together. This is it! This is my big break! I shout. I can't believe it. This is really real. I finally broke through the market. It's all gonna be easy street from here on out. Raz, I'm so infinitely, deliriously proud of you! I told you that role was yours! Mamie shrieks. I tear up. I don't want to start crying, but nearly do. I must be dreaming. This is my favorite show, and I'm undiscovered. They really want me. They do, Raz. She squeezes me tighter before she lets go. Her face slightly falls as she whispers, "What about the play?" For a moment, I consider abandoning it. After all, some college play isn't nearly as important as being on a nationwide television show. But I made a promise to my class, and I'm not somebody who breaks promises. I'll have to do both, I say, giving a shrug. You sure you can handle it? Mamie asks. She presses close to my side as we walk back to the dorms together. I sling my arm around her shoulders. Of course. I'm Razberry Sweet, right? I can do anything. At least, I really hope so, because I don't have any room to screw this up. Chapter 3. I still think it's all just a dream when I walk onto the set of Colorado Snow at the end of the week. The set is massive. It's inside a large warehouse and is a sprawling setup of a vaquero ranch, the setting of the show. I can tell that millions of dollars were spent to construct the huge barn and elegant home. Actors, set designers, producers, the film crew, everyone's running everywhere, and there's a frenzy of activity. I almost feel swallowed up by it all. My contract's been signed, and I'm here to start running through lines today. I was informed that the rest of the cast has already done the first read-through. They're subbing me in during Roy's takes, because the company is already late on releasing the next season and need to get started on filming as soon as possible. The company gave me my lines the same day I signed my contract, and I've been memorizing them all week. I was told by the co-director I had better be a quick learner. I did my best to practice the lines of my first episode over a hurried breakfast in the studio's break room, but to be honest, I've been too distracted to take anything in. This is all moving so quickly, and it's such a big deal. Mr. Sweet! Harmon Weiner's booming voice trembles the whole set, and I turn to face him with a smile. Happy to see you here! Of course, Mr. Weiner. Thank you again so much for this opportunity, I say. There's so much I want to ask him about his craft, the industry, but there's no time for that now. I need to build a relationship with this guy before I start pestering him with questions. Weiner puts a thick, heavy arm around my shoulders and starts guiding me around the room. I tell you, kid, when I watched the tape of your audition, I knew you were the right one to play Roy. There was no question in my mind. But the audition was so short. That's the point, he says, poking me in the chest. We need somebody who can put big emotions into the shortest time he's given on screen, and you're it, kid. None of the other actors showed us anything vulnerable during that reading, but you did. You moved us and made us believe you were Roy, desperate to ride away from the ranch. So congratulations on landing the part." He slaps me on the chest and points to one of the wardrobe sections in the warehouse. "Now get over there and finish your hair and makeup. We'll be rolling in an hour." I watch Harmon Weiner waddle away and try not to frown. I'm starting to believe my hiring was a rush job to fill in for someone who quit at the last minute. Too bad for the other guy, but good news for me, I guess. I walk to the makeup chair and hold in any questions that are eating away at me. This is my chance, and the pay's great too. The advance they're giving me is enormous, and I'm going to get even more money when the show's done filming. I've never had so much money in my life, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it all, besides pay off my student loans. "Hey!" A person with short-cropped hair and false eyelashes waves at me as I approach. "I'm Spencer. I'll be your makeup artist." "Raz," I say, and I shake their hand. "Just give me a minute to get everything around," Spencer says, and they start collecting things at their station. As Spencer's organizing makeup, a tall woman with dark hair slides up to my chair and says, "Hi, I'm Veronica. I write the show." "Veronica Brayford?" I ask, and I nearly fall out of my seat. "You write the show?" "I do. Razberry, correct?" "Just Raz is fine," I tell her. "I just want to say I'm incredibly honored to be working with you. I think your work is brilliant. Your scripts, they literally changed my life. I really appreciate everything you do for your craft. In my opinion, you're the best screenwriter of all time." Veronica almost looks sad. "Thanks, sweetheart. It's nice to know someone around here thinks so." "Ah, okay." I force a smile and try to make conversation. "They really are in a hurry to get the next season on, huh? I didn't think that I'd be filming until next year, but I'm already on set. It's practically unheard of." Veronica barely replies. "Yeah, sure." My eyebrows raise. "Any idea what the big rush is?" Veronica scowls and says, "You'll have to ask the director." She walks away. Wow, have no idea what that means. I figure it's probably a good idea to keep my big mouth shut. I don't need to go asking questions and poking my nose in where it doesn't belong. If there's problems on set, they're not my problems. I'm just here to show everyone what I can do and hopefully get noticed. Spencer approaches with a sigh before they start dabbing foundation on my cheek. Veronica's in a cheerful mood, as always. "I didn't mean to offend her," I say meekly. "It's not you. She's a great girl, really, and an awesome writer. Mad talent." Spencer shakes their head, then moves a makeup brush across my face. But she doesn't get the respect she deserves around here, and her vision is rarely honored, especially since last season. Makes sense. Colorado Snow is still my favorite show of all time, but I've certainly noticed the drop in cohesiveness from the first season to the most recent. I bet Veronica's scripts have been changed, but I'm not sure who called for the alterations. Spencer drops their voice. "Honestly, this is the worst set I've ever worked on." "Really?" My stomach drops. "Yeah, Weiner creates a really bad work environment," Spencer whispers. "I've been in the industry for years, and I've never seen a cast get treated this way. It's not supposed to be like this." "You trying to warn me?" I ask, with a nervous laugh. Spencer purses their lips. "Someone's got to. You're the last guy's replacement." A chill rushes through my veins. "Replacement?" "Yeah. They already cast someone else for Roy, and we're starting to shoot the first few scenes. But he bailed on his contract last minute," Spencer says. "They had to find another person to sub in, because they can't push the next season off any longer. The executives are starting to get pissed there's been such a long gap since the last episode." So my suspicions are true. My mouth has gone dry. I guess that explains why they hired a college kid. "Pretty much. They think they can take advantage of you because you're inexperienced," Spencer says. They give me a pat on the shoulder. "Don't let them." I try not to freak out and tell myself I can't judge Weiner before I even work with him. I idolize the guy and his work. Maybe he's just misunderstood. Directors are known to be divas anyway. I expect him to be picky and overbearing, because he makes great stuff. You can't be slacking if you're a genius, after all. When my hair and makeup is finished, I get my costume on. Plain jeans, cowboy boots, and a flannel shirt, and do a couple of warm-up exercises to work out my nerves. This is a small scene, so none of the big actors are here today. Probably a good thing. I don't want to be fawning over my favorite celebrities when I need to focus. A guy with dark hair approaches. He reaches out to shake my hand. "Hey, I'm Javier, but you can call me Javi," he says in an easygoing way. "I'm playing the role of the stable hand. Our scene is together." Javi doesn't appear to be nervous at all. I want to know his secret. "Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Raz," I say. "You seem pretty comfortable on set. You from around here?" "I'm half Lakota on my mother's side," Javi says. "I grew up on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. My dad's from Mexico. I've been all over, acting since I was a kid." "Wow, really?" I take a closer look at Javi. "Actually, you know what? I think I've seen you in a few things. Movies and stuff." "Yeah, I do a lot of commercials. Nothing huge," Javi says with a shrug. "Just small roles here and there. This is the biggest job I've had yet." "Mine too," I admit. "I've actually never been on set before. This is my first job." "Congratulations," Javi says genuinely. "Maybe this could work out for the both of us." I really hope so. I can tell Javi is a good guy. We're both small-time roles on the biggest show in Hollywood. I think we could team up to mutually benefit each other's careers. Javi and I practice our lines together until Harmon Weiner calls us onto the main set. I steady my shaking hands, take a deep breath, and try not to look at the camera. This is my shot. I can't throw it away. We go over the scene a few times before Harmon Weiner tells us we need to get rolling. We take our places, and I'm unable to calm my nerves until the crew yells, "Action!" I walk into the scene and lean against the porch that's attached to the house on set. I pretend to be deep in contemplation, and Javi approaches from the other side, carrying a bag of grain. "Cut!" Harmon roars. "Javi, what are you doing? You need to come up from behind." Javi blinks. "But that's not what we talked about during blocking." "I don't care what we did yesterday. We're doing it differently today," Harmon barks. "Do it again!" I wince, and Javi retreats in the other direction. We do 3 more takes before Javi finally walks onto the scene in what Harmon considers the right way. At this point, I've worked myself up waiting to deliver my lines, but I somehow manage to make my voice come out smoothly as I say, "Greetings, friend. Know where I can find the boss?" Javi puts the bag of grain down and turns toward me. "You new around these parts. Got a name?" "Roy Bottaway." I shift off the pole and stride in his direction, an ambling gait like I figure Roy would have. "So you're the detective Duke hired to find the guy who's killing all the people on this ranch." Javi sets the grain bag down and approaches, getting in my face. "I'm not sure I like the look of you. You don't have to like the look of me to know I can do my job." I drop my voice, letting out a deadly tone. "And how do I know you ain't involved?" We square up, initiating the start of a fight. I'm completely pulling this out of my ass. I really hope I'm doing a good job and this is believable. "Duke brought me in to take care of things," I growl before I make a fist. "We can take care of ourselves around here," Javi spits. "And I reckon you better get on." I see Javi's gaze waver before he stutters out. Oh, shit. Javi forgot his line. A simple mistake. Easy to make on the first run-through, for sure. But Weiner's cheeks puff out as his skin turns a bright shade of red. "Cut!" Weiner rolls. "For fuck's sake, do you even hear yourself right now? Did you study your lines at all?" "I did. I have them memorized," Javi says as he faces Weiner. "I got mixed up on..." "Why are we paying you?" Weiner sneers. "We need professionals on this set, not amateurs." Jeez, Weiner can be kind of a dick. I don't think it's that big of a deal that Javi flubbed his line. We could just retake it. Weiner acts like it's the end of the world. "Now we have to run the whole thing, again, from the top." Javi sighs. We return to our original positions, and Weiner shouts, "Action!" Later that day, I leave the studio feeling fairly awful. Harmon Weiner was screaming at people the entire time we were filming, especially Javi. I didn't get yelled at, but it was still uncomfortable watching all the other actors get berated. We managed to get all the scenes on today's schedule done, but only because Harmon insisted everyone stay on set until they were perfect. I'm leaving late, and I'm going to have to skip dinner if I want to get to play practice on time. I show up at the campus theater feeling exhausted and hungry, but my mood brightens when I see Mamie sitting on stage with a barbecue chicken pizza. "Hey, got your favorite," she says, handing the pizza box out to me. "You didn't text me all day, so I wanted to make sure you had something to eat, just in case you didn't get a chance on set." I didn't. I was working all day and didn't get any breaks. Mamie and I are constantly texting back and forth, at least once every couple hours, so she'd taken my long silence as an indicator I was too busy to feed myself. I appreciate that. You're a lifesaver, Mamie. I take out a slice of pizza and begin chewing. My classmates are slowly starting to trickle in, taking seats around the auditorium. "How did your first day on set go?" Mamie asks. I swallow before I say anything, because I'm not sure how to answer. It was a lot, I confess. Doesn't look like it's going to lighten up anytime soon, either. I hand her a sheet of paper, which contains my film schedule. Her eyes widen as she looks it over. "Raz, this filming schedule is intense. You're going to miss a lot of school." I talked to my professors, and they're giving me credit for being on such a big show, so I'll still pass, even though I'm skipping class time, I inform her. Working with Harmon Weiner is a big deal. They don't want to fail one of his actors and look bad to the school board. "That's good," Mamie says in relief. "So long as you're happy." I am happy. That I got the job, at least. I'm not exactly thrilled with how today went, though. By the time I'm done eating, everyone's shown up for play practice. I take a stack of scripts out of my backpack, passing them around. Ferrio stands at the edge of the auditorium to supervise and give credit. "This is the updated script," I say. "I was up all night finishing it." "All night?" Aviel asks as he flips through it. I shrug. "Well, you guys deserve a great piece to show off your skills, and I couldn't really sleep anyway." I raise my voice. As most of you already know, because you've already read it, this is a typical coming-of-age story about a girl who moves to a new city and finds out that pursuing her dreams isn't what she thought it would be. I've altered the ending and added some stuff, but most of the story stays true to the original script. And because I feel like I know your specialties pretty well, I've already assigned roles to characters, save for the stage and design crew. The script I handed you is personalized to you and has your role at the top.
"Raz, personalized scripts for the whole class? That must have taken you forever,"
Pineapple says. It really was nothing. I sit on the edge of the stage. I thought we could have our first read-through today. There's a murmur of agreement, and we move forward. There's laughter and a lot of jokes as we progress through the script. It's a comedy with a couple of serious moments. The lightheartedness of the script, coupled with the reactions of everyone in the cast, brighten my spirits. They're really excited about this, and their genuine enthusiasm for the play washes away my bad mood. I gave Pineapple the lead because she's the most talented actress in the class. Better than me, for sure. This is just supposed to be a read-through, but Pineapple recites her lines as if this is already dress rehearsal. She wasn't lying about really wanting this role.
"Let's face it, I'm just a small-town girl from a big... Wait, no, that's not right."
Pineapple sighs and hangs her head.
"I'm really sorry, Raz. I messed up my line."
"It's okay. Just try again," I encourage. "It's no big deal. This is our first day. We can run through it as many times as you need."
"Okay."
Pineapple repeats the line before she adds,
"This is a great play, Raz. People are going to love it."
"Well, I hope so." I give a half smile. I know you guys deserve something great, so I tried to give it to you. It's the best, man. Avio claps me on the back. When the school board sees this play, they're going to give you an honorary degree. If only. It'd give me an excuse to ditch my major, get out of here, and into the real world. Ferrio checks his watch. "I apologize, class, but our time is up for today. I have to move on to another lecture, but if the rest of you wish to proceed with the read-through, feel free to do so." Ferrio roams out of the theater. The second he's gone, Hedge stands up. Awesome. Hedge is one of Aviel's buddies, and is one of the more obnoxious actors in our class. Now that the babysitter's gone, we can move on to more important things in this play. Mainly the fight scene. Fight scene, I say, baffled. There's no fight scene. Attack! Aviel roars, and all of a sudden, the entire stage dissolves into chaos. From out of nowhere, Aviel found a trident, and Hedge is spinning nunchucks. A few kids are wielding plastic knives, and a few of them have wooden swords. Where did all these weapons come from? I ask, baffled. Mamie points to an open cardboard box at the edge of the stage labeled props. All 30 or so students in the auditorium charge at each other, screaming war cries. I'm caught in the middle of it, and scream as kids start whacking me with objects at all angles. A couple of guys are slapping each other with pool noodles, and out of the corner of my eye, I watch 2 girls swing at each other with falsified brass knuckles. Sparkles, a girl with bright pink hair, jumps up from her seat. She pulls a circular green object out of her jacket and tosses it into the crowd. I blink. Is that a hand grenade? The grenade must be made of foam because it bounces off the top of somebody's head. They go careening backward and fall off the stage. I watch as Aviel and Hedge pick up one of our stage designers and toss him into a card table. It collapses under his weight and shatters. What the hell is going on? I bellow. I feel like I've fallen into an alternate universe or something. Somebody tosses a banana and it whacks me on the side of the face. Ow! Hey! I'm unsure of why or how this random chaos started, or what we're all going to do about it, when I hear a loud crunch echo around the room. The fight instantly stops, and everyone whips around simultaneously to look at center stage. Help! Help! Aviel's fallen through the floor. He waves his arms, shouting for someone to come yank him out. He attempts to stick his trident in the floor and pull himself free, but that just makes a bigger hole. Oh, for shit's sake. I try grabbing his arm and yanking, but Aviel just falls further in and takes me with him. I scream as I topple on through the hole, falling onto the floor below the stage. Raz! Mamie and the rest of the cast poke their heads over the hole. Are you okay? I groan. I landed on Aviel, so that broke my fall, but it still didn't feel great. We're okay. Speak for yourself, Aviel grunts. I wasn't the one who started a civil war in the auditorium, I shoot back as I roll off of him. Did you and Hedge have this planned? He hisses with laughter. Worth it? You might have gone a little over the top, I grumble, thinking about the table. Hey, you seemed really tense after we left class yesterday, Aviel says. The class got together in a group chat and thought it'd be funny to pull a prank during the read-through. Make you laugh a little. The corners of my mouth twitch. Well, okay, guess it was kind of funny. See? It made you smile, Aviel teases. I push him away from me and stand up, reaching my arms up so the others can yank me free of the hole in the stage. It's a difficult process. How many actors does it take to pull 2 dumbasses out of a hole? It sounds like a funny joke, but really, it's a process that takes 15 minutes and a lot of stupid ideas, because both of us keep getting stuck, and it's hard to help us get out without someone else ending up in our situation. And really, it won't do anyone any good if an entire drama class is stuck underneath the stage of the school's auditorium. We could, starve to death down here or something. Or we could find food, make our own society, and repopulate. On second thought, a society run solely by angsty theater nerds is not one I want to be a part of, so I swear to myself I'm getting out of here, even if I have to kill Aviel and make a ladder out of his bones in order to climb out. He got me into this, after all. Eventually, someone finds a rope backstage. Aviel and me hold on to one end as the rest of the cast pulls the other. The hole in the stage is huge at this point, but at least they're able to yank us free. I'm sweating bullets. Once the cast pulls Aviel and me out of the hole, the doors to the theater open. From down the hall, we can hear the telltale voice of the dean, talking to one of the theater professors. "Scatter!" I whisper. Everyone runs in different directions, giving whimpers of panic. I grab Mamie's arm and run to the backstage, pulling her into a supply cabinet. It's tight and barely fits the both of us. We have to squish together in order to pull the door shut. Mamie and I hold our breath as we hear the footsteps of the dean and the professor approach. I hear the dean gasp, and his conversation with the professor abruptly stops.
What in God's name? How did this hole get here?
Mamie and I have to stifle our snickers. I can feel her heartbeat pounding against my chest, and we're so close, our breathing synchronizes. She looks up at me through her long lashes, and as our laughter dies, I find that my eyes connect with hers, and my heart jumps into my throat. I manage to swallow as I speak lowly. We need to leave before they come back here. Mamie drops her gaze. Of course. The professor and dean debate what to do about the stage, and while they're distracted, Mamie and I carefully climb out of the storage cabinet and make our escape out the back of the theater. We take one look at each other after we shut the door behind us and break out into childish giggles. Not exactly the rehearsal I was hoping for, I say. But it was the rehearsal you needed, Mamie insists. Mamie, did you help them plan this? She smiles. I don't kiss and tell. Mamie. Oh, all right, it might have been my idea. She hugs her torso tightly. I knew it'd cheer you up. It was something we'd all do in high school together, back when we were making the movie. The grin slides off my face. Sure, right. At this point, I'm dead tired, so I plan on going back to my dorm so I can shut out the world. Mamie and I walk away from the auditorium and onto the campus quad. At this area of the school, there's dozens of white hammocks hanging between trees for students to relax in. The sun is setting at this point, washing campus in an orange hue. What are you planning on doing now? Mamie asks. I shrug. Dunno. Go back to my room, practice my lines for tomorrow. Raz, you need to rest. She walks over to one of the large hammocks and tosses her purse on the grass. Stay with me a little while. Mamie climbs into the hammock and gestures for me to get in. I sigh before I drop my bag and clumsily clamber into the hammock. I nearly tip it over. My coordination skills are one thing that definitely haven't improved since I got to college. I'm still as reckless as a bull in a china shop. Raz, Mamie says with a laugh, gripping onto the hammock so she doesn't topple out of it. Hey, I told you I was trying to be more careful. I didn't say it was working. I lay beside her, and the hammock swings violently back and forth before slowing to a slow rock. Mamie's breathing slows beside me as we observe the tree branches above. We don't say anything for a few minutes, but her arm is pressing against mine, and she's got a leg thrown over my knee. It's nice. Imagine if Principal Max Goose could see us now, living it up in college and being successful, I joke. Mamie snorts, then laces her fingers between mine. The Goosinator is going to be majorly pissed when he finds out you landed a role in Colorado snow. I swore it was like that man's personal mission in life to make sure you failed at everything when we were in high school. He hated your ass. Hey, he didn't like you either. You were in detention more than you were in class. I still think he considers you his arch rival. Now in a couple of months, he's going to have to deal with ads everywhere about the show, shoving your celebrity status in his face. I guess you could say I cooked his goose. God, that sounds sexual. Don't say that again. Mamie slaps a hand over her mouth and laughs, gripping my fingers tighter. I laugh too and squeeze her hand back, though the sound quickly dies in my throat. My mind's on other things. Play practice was a hell of a lot more fun than filming today, that's for sure. But I guess one's a hobby and one's work. Your job isn't supposed to be fun, right? I stare at the clouds. This should be fun. Working on a big Hollywood set with my favorite director is my dream. So why doesn't it feel like it? Chapter 4. I convinced myself that yesterday was just a really tough first day at the film studio, and today will be better. Everyone's first day at a new job is awful, right? I just have to get used to things. I really must have been tired yesterday, because I fell asleep in the hammock. I guess Mamie fell asleep too. We didn't wake up until campus security came by and told us if we wanted to cuddle, we needed to do it in our dorms and not in the middle of the quad at 12 o'clock at night. That wasn't what we'd been doing, but okay. When I show up at the studio, I'm relieved to see that Harmon Weiner isn't here yet. I'm early, so most of the cast hasn't arrived. Veronica is here, sitting in a chair and poring over the script. She motions for me to come over. I think I want to make a couple of alterations to your lines, Raz, Veronica says. I feel the blood drain from my face. Am I not delivering them correctly, or... No, nothing like that, she reassures me. But after watching your performance yesterday, I want to tailor Roy's lines to your style. I wrote this character to be rather bland, but now I want to take it in a different direction. Oh, okay. Fine by me. I grab a chair and sit beside her. What are we changing? We go over a couple of scenes, and Veronica seems pleased when I recite them back to her. Perfect. I really do think this is going to improve the script. Whatever you want me to do, I'm all for it, I say. You're a genius. The work you did on Season 2's finale, it's breathtaking. I'd trust you for just that alone. Veronica smiles bitterly. I got paid $300 for that episode. 300? I sputter. Veronica, the company made millions off that episode alone. You should be getting a generous cut of that. I should, but I'm not. She closes the script. If you work out the details, I'm only getting a little over minimum wage to be the main writer on this show, and I'm not getting any benefits. My health insurance is through the writers' union, and I don't get any paid time off. I can't believe it. That's completely unfair. I know what I'm worth, and I know I'm getting taken for a ride. Her shoulders slump. But when I asked for more money, Harmon Weiner promised that if I walk off, I'll never work in this town again, and this opportunity is too good to pass up. It's insane I'm getting paid more than Veronica is to be a minor actor on this show, when she's the writer. It's her vision that's making the show great. If anything, she should be getting paid the most. Anyway, Veronica sighs and stands up. You should get ready. We start filming in an hour. My stomach sinks as I watch her walk away. I drag myself to the makeup chair, where Spencer takes one look at my sour expression and says, Veronica give you the rundown on how little she's getting paid? You overheard that? I ask. No, but it's not hard to guess. Veronica's always bitching about her salary. And rightfully so, Spencer says. I personally think she needs to take it to the press and put some pressure on the company to up her pay, but she won't do it because she's afraid of the repercussions. Spencer snorts. In my opinion, she needs to risk it all, because the people with the biggest mouths usually make it in this industry. Harmon Weiner has shown up. I can tell, because I can hear his voice screaming from the next room over. I'm starting to see that. Javi's not getting paid well either, Spencer whispers. Last I heard, his paycheck was hardly enough to cover his rent, and that's for a whole season's worth of work. He's picking up a lot of side jobs so he can afford to stay on the show, in the hope someone notices him and his career goes somewhere. That makes me feel awful for Javi. I understand better than anyone about making sacrifices for a creative career. I'm willing to take work that doesn't pay the best in order to expand my portfolio and make connections. But this is Colorado snow, for crying out loud. The show's averaged a profit of $100 million per episode. The studio can definitely afford to pay their cast and staff a living wage, and more on top of it. It's sickening that the studio is pocketing all that money instead of sharing it with the people who've come together to bring it to life. What about you, I ask. Are you getting ripped off too? Me? Oh no. Spencer laughs. I stood up for myself and demanded 3 times what the studio was offering to pay me. They originally said no, but when I stood my ground, they finally caved and brought me on. They found out during test runs of filming it's cheaper to pay a professional what they're worth instead of correcting the mistakes of a newbie. Like I said when you got here, kid, don't let them take advantage of you. Happens too often around here. I'm definitely going to keep my eye out for any underhanded tactics from now on, that's for sure. Like yesterday, I stay all day on set. I'm kept past our designated filming time. When I get back to campus, I have to sprint to the auditorium to make it to play practice, and I still show up 10 minutes late. Sorry, guys, I say as I walk in. Filming today was brutal. It's no problem. Mamie says, and she puts a sandwich in my hand. I give her a grateful smile. I missed the chance to eat again.
We've been practicing lines, Pineapple says. Fario has some great suggestions.
Fario's sitting in the audience. The professor shouts, "We got here a little early and ran through the first act. Hope you don't mind." Not at all. Fario's a great director. He directed some of Hollywood's most famous classics back in the day, so any direction he can give is probably loads better than mine.
Anyway, Raz, we were thinking we should go through the costume room and see what we can find in there, Sparkles adds. All the props and outfits are ours for the taking. The other plays running on campus this semester have already reserved what they want. I scratch my head. I guess we should take a look in there and see what we can find. I know the school gave us a budget to use for costumes and building the set, but we might as well save that money to spend on things we really need. If we can use stuff from another play for free, I'm all for it. Mamie, Aviel, Hedge, and I head toward the costume room in the back of the auditorium. When I turn the lights on, I cringe. It's an absolute mess in here. Clothes and props are lying in heaps all around the room, and props are splayed out all over the floor. I have to carefully creep around the hoard in order to avoid falling over. I start rummaging through outfits. We're looking for postmodern stuff, something classy, not too flamboyant. Like this? Aviel's voice comes from behind me. I turn and see that he's pulled on a bright pink ball gown with a hoop skirt that looks like it came from last year's production of Gone with the Wind. Yes, perfect. Definitely suits your character, I say dryly. Can we at least try to take this seriously? Raz, can I change my role to a pickle? Hedge found a pickle costume and is already putting it on. I think it's more interesting. Mamie taps me. She holds up two ends of a horse costume that's meant for two people. One side is the front legs, with a horse mask for the head, and the other is the back end. With a smirk, she asks, "Want to share?" I sigh, then put the horse head on. As long as I don't have to be the butt. Nobody's really working, and I suppose I'm not either. Mamie and I snicker as we elope around the costume room as the horse. She bumps into me from behind, and I nearly fall over. I can't see a damn thing in this horse mask, so I plow into Aviel, who's already having trouble keeping his balance in the hoop skirt. I'm laughing so hard I can barely breathe. Look at this!
Sparkles shrieks. From the very back of the room, she pulls out a life-sized cardboard cutout of a tan bodybuilder in tight shorts that looks like it's from the 70s.
Oh, it's got a mullet and a full rack of chest hair!
Mamie laughs.
Put it back! No way! We're naming him Juan Julio. Oh, he's officially the play's mascot.
Sparkles purrs, stroking the cutout's abs. The rest of the cast has heard the commotion in the costume room and has come around to see what all the fuss is. People gush as they start pulling out random outfits from the hangers. In the crowd, I see an inflatable shark outfit, a Viking hat, a cactus costume, and so much more. Everyone has an obnoxious outfit, each one worse than the last. We look ridiculous. Perhaps that's why it's so great.
Has everyone found a suitable costume?
Fario asks as he pokes his head into the room.
Yes!
A rousing chorus responds, though it's absolutely a lie.
Not exactly what I had in mind,
I say, though the horse mask muffles my voice. Fario grins as he observes us all, then shakes his head and adds, "You all look wonderful. Let's start on Act 2. Sparkles places Juan Julio in the audience beside Fario. The professor acts like absolutely nothing is weird about this as he puts an arm around the cutout and yells, "Places, everyone!" The cast performs the rest of the rehearsal in their stupid costumes. I actually think it helps, because they're really enthusiastic today. I guess there really is no way of making the muse conform. If it provides creative inspiration to be wearing a pickle costume while reciting large pieces of flowery dialogue, so be it. When practice is over, everybody puts their outfit back, except for Mamie and I, because we've decided to steal the horse costume. It's just too fun to put away. We get a couple of weird looks from students as she and I wander across campus together, still playing the part of the horse. It's actually more difficult than I thought it would be to line up my movements with Mamie's. We end up tripping over each other and falling more than we end up actually walking. Ugh, I say as Mamie lands on top of me for the 11th time. We really need to learn how to coordinate this better. Mamie hisses with laughter, and warmth fills my chest at the sound. I put an arm around her and squeeze her to my chest. She's so sweet. It's adorable. We should go to the bar like this, Mamie says. It'll be so funny. Great idea. Mamie and I like going to the bar. Not to get any booze, because we're not legally old enough to drink, but to get appetizers, because the place we usually frequent has the best mozzarella sticks. The jalapeno poppers are Mamie's favorite. I make sure to get them for her every time. I know most of her orders from all of our favorite places. We stumble into the bar wearing the horse costume and get a couple of dirty looks from the patrons. As we crawl to our usual table, I rip off the horse mask and take a deep breath. Finally, I can breathe again. Mamie pulls out her wallet, but I stop her. No way, I'm paying. I have, ass tons of money now. You didn't get paid that much for being on Colorado snow, Mamie says skeptically. It's more than enough to pay for snacks at the bar. My treat, Mamie. Really. She slowly puts her wallet back in her purse. Well, all right. Mamie and I take turns wearing the horse mask and whinnying at customers who walk by our table. We act completely nonchalant when the person we're neighing at turns around. By the time an hour passes, I'm absolutely dying of laughter, and Mamie is gasping for air. The owner finally stomps over to us with our bill. You kids gotta pay and go. You're killing the vibe. We're wearing a horse costume at a bar. We are the vibe, I protest. We get kicked out anyway. By this time, it's pretty dark. I can't see much in the horse mask and don't feel like wandering out into traffic, so we don't wear it back home. I put an arm around Mamie's shoulders as we proceed down the street, pretending to do the can-can. I haven't seen you look this happy in a while, Mamie says, and she pokes my side. I shrug. I can't remember the last time I let myself just act silly. Well, it's a good look on you, Mamie says, and I miss the old Raz. Her words are meant to be playful, but they're somber. I've been taking everything so serious lately. It feels good to lighten up and have a fun time every now and then. I think I've forgotten how to be the old me, I tell her. But maybe that can change. Chapter 5. We're midway through the semester before I realize how quickly time has passed. The weeks are flying by because I'm too busy to keep track of them. I head off in the morning to the studio and usually stay all day, fitting in a couple of classes in the rare times that I'm not on set. Then I run to play practice, where Mamie always has dinner for me and where my bad mood is always turned around because the people working with me on the play are a lot of fun. I hate to say it, but my bad mood is always because of Colorado snow. I like my role and the story. I really like my co-actors and all the people who work at the studio. I enjoy what I'm doing and enjoy being on set. I hate working with Harmon Weiner. He's a major ass, and on top of it, the executives that own the company are determined to beat him at being an asshole. They pop in on set from time to time to see how things are going, and it's clear that besides having no idea how to run a fucking company, they're also clueless on how to make art. The execs have demanded a few changes to the show that have definitely impacted the quality, and I'm starting to get worried that this show is starting to take a downturn right when I've walked onto it. I don't take a lot of heat. Weiner screams at everyone else and only reprimands me. I've kind of become Weiner's golden child, which I despise because I don't want to be that man's pet. He really likes my acting style. I'd be proud that the most awarded director in Hollywood thinks I'm talented if he wasn't the rudest guy in the world. Javi always gets the worst of it. Weiner has a personal vendetta against him, and I can't figure out why, because Javi is super talented and the nicest guy I've ever met. We have a lot of fun rehearsing before we film. We've gotten together a couple of times outside the studio to discuss Roy and the Stable-Hand's motivations and how they clash as characters. It's helped both of us understand how we want to portray our separate roles. I really like Javi. He's giving me some great tips and helping me be a better actor. I can't figure out why Weiner doesn't see how much talent he has and what an asset he is to the cast. I finally met the big celebrities on the show, and they think I'm cool, which is mind-blowing to me because I've never been cool in my life. You could ask anyone I went to high school with, and they'd tell you so. But it's different here. Now I'm rubbing elbows with some of the biggest names in Hollywood. I've gotten to hang out with some of them on the weekends, and it's great making friends with all these stars and running in their circles. But it doesn't really thrill me, and what's depressing is I'm starting to get bored on their yachts. They're fine people. I just get the feeling I don't really fit in with them. My character has a lot of shouting lines, so I'm pretty hoarse whenever I leave the studio for the day. Not great when I'm directing a play in the evenings. But it's fine, because Mamie is more than willing to scream at people for me. Raz, you are not gonna believe this, Sparkles gushes when I show up at play practice one day in late October. But the set looks amazing. She and Aviel work together to pull back the red curtain, and my jaw drops as I take in the set. It's a beautiful composition of the streets of Hollywood from the 1940s. The buildings, the props, there isn't a piece out of place. The set crew just got done building yesterday, Aviel says. What do you think? What do I think? I jump on stage and spin around as I take it all in. It's marvelous! You guys really did some professional work. This looks like something that would be on Broadway, for crying out loud. My voice trails off as I look closer. Wait, hold on. I approach the closest building and narrow my eyes. There, I see it. Painted into the outline of a door is the shape of a dick, and it's definitely a dick. It's unmistakable. Panic grows inside my chest as I look around and see that there are dicks on every single set piece. I pinch the bridge of my nose. You guys put hidden dicks on everything, didn't you? Exactly, Sparkles bursts. Isn't it the best? Why? I wail. Well, at first we thought it'd be funny to just put one in there to see if anyone would point it out, Aviel began. Then we kept painting, and it was even more fun, picking and choosing spots to squeeze in minor details. Of dicks, I sigh. Does Ferio know about this? No, he thinks it looks great. Didn't even recognize a single one, Aviel says with a snicker. Well, I guess there's hope. Now that I've noticed, I see them everywhere. You guys better hope and pray that your acting is so phenomenal nobody pays attention to the background, I grumble. Sparkles and Aviel hunch over into a fit of childish giggles. I swear I'm directing a bunch of 14-year-olds. You'd think college students would be more mature than high schoolers, but I almost think they're worse. Lighten up, Sparkles says. Come look what else we did. She leads me backstage to a piece of plywood that's been drilled into the wall. A bunch of signatures and multicolored markers are splayed out across the wood. The board is covered in crude drawings, poetry, jokes, and funny sayings. Hedge is in front of it, doodling an obnoxious picture of what I think has to be Aviel. It's a signature wall for the cast to sign, Sparkles says. We thought it'd be fun to document our journey. A keepsake, kinda, for all of us. Yeah, you should sign it too, Aviel says, holding out a marker for me to take. I roll the marker in between my fingers and consider what he said, eyeing all the names, dates, and stories on the board. Then I shake my head and hand the marker back. I think I want to wait, I muse. I don't know what I want to say yet. It doesn't have to be Shakespeare, Hedge jokes. Just put anything. I don't know. The signature wall seems sort of sacred. I'm the director of this play, and if this is meant to be a memento of what we're doing here, I want to make what I'm going to leave behind count. I'm sure inspiration will strike, I say. Give it time. Ferio shows up at this point, and it's back to rehearsal. I sit in the audience with Mamie and our professor, giving tips and calling out directions as we work on Act 3, which is the weakest part of the production. I'm not sure why, but something's not quite right with it. Either it's the story or the actors need more guidance, because it's just not as powerful as the first 2 acts of the play. I'm also sitting next to the cardboard cutout, who has been voted co-director. Poor Juan Julio has been absolutely destroyed at this point. Hedge and the other guys drew a curly mustache on his face and devil horns on his head. Keeping on brand for the play, they drew a dick on the outside of his shorts too, but Fario made them scribble it out. Sparkles added her own improvements by gluing googly eyes to the pupils. He's all misshapen and bent up now because he's been shoved, ripped, and folded so many times. The cast literally takes that thing everywhere. He's got food stains down the front of his chest from the cafeteria and is wearing a pimp hat from the costume room. I'm not satisfied with the final act by the time practice is over, but we've filled our allotted time slot for the day, and another performance needs the auditorium. Everyone files out, save for me and Mamie, who remains in the audience. Not even Juan Julio sticks around. Sparkles nabs him to take back to her dorm. You okay, Raz? Mamie puts a soft hand on my arm. I'm just frustrated. I try to give her a smile, but it turns into more of a grimace. It'll be okay. Are you really that mad they put hidden dicks in the set? I'll tell them to cover them up if that's what you want. It's not that. I let my head fall against the back of the auditorium seat. I'm really not happy with how things are going at Cinemix Central. I thought working for a big streaming service would be, I don't know, not so hard. This is what you want, Raz, Mamie reminds me. It's not going to be easy. It's not the job itself. I love what I'm doing. It's the people heading the project. I blow out a breath. Harmon Weiner has high expectations, which would be fine if he didn't verbally abuse everyone on set for not doing what he wants how he wants it the first time around. She nods in understanding. My uncle worked with Weiner a while back on some bigger productions. They didn't get along. I'm not surprised Fario hates the guy. So do I. I cross my arms. I don't know. Between filming and the play, I'm really burnt out. I could use a break. Are you filming tomorrow? No, it's my one day off. Let's go to my uncle's ranch, she suggests. We can blow off some steam. Come out and ride with me. That actually sounds like a good idea. I haven't been to Scarlet Moon Ranch since that terrible night 2 years ago when Puppy broke up with me, but I know Mamie goes there all the time. Absolutely. I'll be there, I promise. The next morning, I meet Mamie at her car in the school's parking lot. I hop in the convertible, and she blasts our favorite punk album on our way out of the city. I stick my arm out the window and feel the air skim my fingers as my hair is blown backward from the wind. It feels nice, getting away from it all. I love LA, but I think I love California's wide, open flatlands more. When we get there, Mamie immediately goes to the barn. She brings me to the tack room and points out a saddle. You can ride Merlin. She's the sweetest mare on this ranch, Mamie says, handing me a bridle. Merlin? She's called that because she's magic. You'll see. Merlin's name is on her stall. She's a big bay horse, probably the tallest horse I've ever considered riding. I cinch her up. In the stall next to me, Mamie saddles up her gelding, Cowboy. Merlin lets me put the bit in her mouth easily, and I try to remember the last time I did this. I haven't ridden since Puppy dumped me. I haven't even been on Buddy's back, not once since that whole thing went down. I feel bad. Mitzi promised me she'd take care of Buddy until I graduated, but I really miss the old guy. It sucked I couldn't take him with me, but it wouldn't be fair to make my horse travel across the country, especially when I don't have time to take care of him with my current schedule. We mount up outside of the stable and ride the horses out to the plains to see the arches and rock formations all around the desert that surrounds the ranch. We ride for hours, exploring the landscape and stopping to take pictures of mountains in the distance. It's breathtaking to be out here with Mamie, where it feels like we're the only two people in the world. Merlin is the nicest horse. She does whatever I ask her to without fussing. On her back, all of my problems just melt away. I was really feeling shitty when I got up this morning, and almost stayed in bed all day, but I'm really happy that I came. I guess Merlin's name suits her perfectly. She really is magic. It's so perfect you got chosen for a role on Colorado Snow. You're a real cowboy, Mamie jokes as I canter Merlin around a couple of Joshua trees. It is kind of my wheelhouse, I agree. Mamie packed a picnic for us. We have lunch underneath a massive rock formation while the horses graze, before we decide that we've been gone all morning and should probably get back. When we return to the ranch, there's a school bus in the driveway, and a bunch of teenagers are getting off. What's going on? I ask Mamie as I lead Merlin back to the stable. The ranch hosts a riding program for at-risk teens in the inner city, Mamie informs me. I volunteer every weekend and mentor high school students who are going through a hard time. Wow, I didn't know she did that. That's pretty awesome of you. I'm not looking for a medal. I like doing it. She puts Cowboy back in his stall and says, "If you want to go back to campus, I can skip volunteering and drive you home." "No, I want to help. This seems like a noble cause and a way to take my mind off things." Mamie's smile is huge. "Cool. Come on, I'll introduce you to the rest of the volunteers." Mamie brings me to a group of adults. She introduces me to the director of the program, who says, "Hi, my name's Janie. Mamie's told us a lot about you. Usually we have training for new volunteers, but I saw you ride in. You seem pretty good with horses. Would you be comfortable working one-on-one with one of the students? We're a bit outnumbered today." "Yeah, that's fine. I'll go wherever they need me." Today is an introduction between the students and the horses. They're being paired up with horses that they'll ride later in the program, and getting to know them today through a grooming session. I get paired up with a 16-year-old named Kylie, who obviously doesn't want to be here. It's clear from the look on her face she'd rather be anywhere else. She pulls her baseball cap over her eyes and keeps her gaze down. She's been matched with a chestnut mare called Garnet. Kylie stands at a distance away from Garnet, holding the brush warily. Garnet stamps her hoof and shakes her head, and Kylie takes another step back. "It's okay, you can approach her," I encourage. "She looks like she's going to bite," Kylie says with a frown. "She's friendly. She won't hurt you. I've got her," I say, lifting the lead rope to show Kylie I have Garnet under control. "And why should I trust you?" Kylie sneers. I know that look in her eyes all too well. I've seen it in the mirror more than once. "Because I don't like watching people get flattened by horses," I reply. "You're in good hands, I promise." Kylie scowls, but she slowly approaches Garnet and starts to brush her pelt. Garnet snorts and bobs her head to show she likes it. Kylie smiles just a little bit. "See, it's more fun than it looks," I say. She rolls her eyes. "I wouldn't even be here if the judge hadn't ordered me to come. I know the feeling. Community service sucks, but I can promise you, hanging out with horses is the better end of the deal." I pat Garnet's mane. "I had to paint a bunch of graffiti and pick up trash on the street. This is way better." Kylie scoffs. You look like you've never broken a rule in your life." "Might look that way, but one time I stole a car, and I didn't get away with it. Not a good look." Kylie's eyes widen. "Wow, all I did was steal a couple pairs of shoes. I shoplifted a few times. Didn't get me much of anywhere but into trouble." "Did you get arrested?" "Once or twice." Kylie blinks. She narrows her gaze suspiciously, like she doesn't believe my story, before she asks, "So why are you here? And don't say it's to help the less fortunate get back on the right path." "I just like being on the ranch with the horses. Takes my mind off things. It'll help you too, if you let it, I promise." Her mouth is a thin line. "I guess it's better being here than at home." I nod. "Fair. And for me, it's better being here than on set." "Really?" She stops brushing Garnet for a second. "You're an actor?" "Yeah, but I had to clean up my act before I got to LA. Nobody just handed me the job. I had to work for it and be a good candidate. That means I had to learn how to keep my nose clean and stay away from people who were bad for me." Kylie bites her lip. "I suppose I should learn how to do that too." "Hey!" Garnet's reached around and knocked Kylie's baseball cap off her head. Kylie bends down to pick it up, and Garnet nickers. I can see why Garnet was chosen to be Kylie's horse. Both of them have attitudes. I show Kylie how to braid Garnet's mane and polish her hooves before I teach her how to lead a horse. By the end of the session, Kylie's grinning widely, and she can walk Garnet around all by herself. "That was some good work today, Raz," Mamie says as we watch the kids get back on the bus. "You want to come out next weekend?" "For sure." I really like Kylie. She's frigid toward me, but I see a lot of myself in her. I wished somebody would have reached out and been a guide when I'd been getting myself into trouble, but no one had been there to listen. Maybe I can be that person for Kylie. After we're done volunteering for the day, it's late. Mamie and me stop by a barbecue stand on the way back to campus. When we get back to my dorm, Mamie puts a show on and climbs into bed beside me so we can watch it. It's one of our favorites, and we never miss an episode whenever it launches, but I find my mind wandering during most of it. Watching my favorite shows now is hard, because I've been behind the scenes now and know how a lot of this stuff works. The magic is kind of gone. My phone rings. My aunt is calling, which is weird. She never reaches out this late at night. Hello? I don't bother to pause the show, thinking it's going to be a 5-second conversation.
Raz,
Aunt Sarah's voice is choked, and my heart bottoms out into my stomach. She's crying. Mamie notices my face drop and knows the conversation is serious. She whispers to me to call her later before she pauses the show and slips out of my dorm. What's going on? I sit up. My chest feels paralyzed.
Mitzi,
My aunt chokes up. She can't get any more words out. Is she okay? Oh, God, something's happened. My aunt gives another sob, and I hear my uncle's voice come through the phone as she passes it to him.
Hello, Raz. We don't have good news.
Talk to me. If someone doesn't give me some answers, I'm going to scream.
We've been in and out of the doctor's office lately. We didn't want to worry you, but it looks like it's serious.
Uncle Logan says grimly. A freezing cold sensation pierces my gut and spreads all over. What's going on?
She has a congenital heart defect, along with leukemia.
Uncle Logan's voice cracks.
We caught it just in time, but it's still fairly advanced.
The lump in my throat is suffocating me. Can I talk to her?
She's already in bed for the night.
Shit. Forgot that Connecticut is 3 hours ahead of us. It's gotta be 3 a.m. there. I need to come home. I'm already packing my stuff, throwing things in a bag. I'll take a cab to the airport and catch the first flight back to Connecticut that I can.
No, Raz. The first thing Mitzi was worried about when the doctor told her the diagnosis was you coming back here to take care of her. She wants you to stay in L.A.
I can't stay here when she's this sick.
She knows how important the show is to you.
None of that means anything if she needs me.
She needs you to follow your dream.
My uncle says firmly.
If you come back now, she'll think that she's the reason you're letting everything go, and you can't make her feel like that, Raz. The doctor says keeping her happy and making everything seem normal is important for her recovery. You rushing back home shows her it's not, and that'll make her more afraid than she already is. We don't want to give her the impression that she's dying.
She could be.
But she needs the chance to be a kid if she's going to get better. She's been so excited to see you on TV, Raz.
I know she is. It's all Mitzi's been blabbing about since I got the part. I don't think I can put that guilt on her if I leave the show to be at her side, because she's going to feel guilty, and that might make her get worse.
Stay in California for a little while longer,
Logan presses.
If things get worse, we'll call you.
My grip tightens on the phone. Fine, but I'm coming home early for winter break.
I'm sure she'd love to see you.
I force myself to ask, what is the doctor doing for treatment?
There's a surgery the doctors can do on her heart,
He says heavily.
It could cure her defect, or at least buy her more time. But the cost to do the surgery, it's going to break us, Raz.
Send me the bill. I'll pay for it, I say. I've got more than enough saved up from my advance from Colorado snow.
Raz, you should be using that money to get your life started.
I don't care about that. Mitzi is going to die without this surgery. Just take the money. My uncle doesn't have the heart to argue, and he can't, can he? It's his daughter's life on the line, and I'm not going to let her die. What about the rest of her treatment? The doctor's visits and medicine and other stuff, I demand.
Thankfully, that's being subsidized by a new government program called Freedom Care. Because she's a minor with a severe case, it'll take care of whatever medical bill she has, besides the surgery. Her chemotherapy and radiation is paid for. The program's experimental, but it's been guaranteed for Mitzi.
For the time being.
What does that mean?
The country's going to vote on it next month during the primary election. If the bill for freedom care doesn't pass, she'll lose her coverage. And our health insurance isn't enough to pay for this, Raz.
Don't worry about it. I'll suffer through every job I have to take with Harmon Weiner if it means paying for Mitzi's care. I have connections now. I'll help you figure it out.
You're too young to be dealing with...
It's fine. I've been through a lot of shit in my life, and this is just one more bridge to cross. I really love you guys. I'm going to be here for the family. I can hear him stifle a sob on the other side of the phone.
Thanks, Raz. You take care of yourself, okay?
I will. He hangs up the phone because he doesn't want me to hear him cry. Hell, I'm already crying. This is horrible. He must be feeling guilty, even though none of this is his fault. Heart issues run in the family, as we saw with the heart attack he had a couple of years ago. But leukemia, we never would have guessed. I pull myself together and promise myself that we're not going to lose her. I'll help out where I can, and Mitzi will get better. She has to. Chapter 6. I can't sleep after that dreadful phone call. I text Mamie right away, and she comes rushing back. I cry on her shoulder for hours. She does her best to distract me with optimism and stupid jokes, and it kind of works, but it still feels like I needed to be rushing to the airport instead of weeping in my dorm. I don't sleep at all that night. I'm dead on set the next day, but it can't be helped. Today we have a riding scene in the flatlands outside of the city. I'm really excited for this take, because I get to show off my riding skills, and yeah, I get to impress a couple of the execs who are on set. Except the day's quickly ruined, because Harmon Weiner isn't nice to the horses. I watch him hit Javi's horse really hard on the neck, and it takes everything I have in me to not say anything. I kind of regret not speaking up. I don't care how powerful and famous Weiner is. He can't keep expecting to get away with this kind of behavior. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it, because I'm just a small-time actor with no sort of pull on this production whatsoever, but I can't keep my mouth shut about the uncomfortable work environment for much longer. But I have to, because Mitzi needs me. My aunt and uncle don't make much, and I'm the only one in the family who can bring in a good income, besides my shitty parents, who I know won't cough up any money, even though they have more than enough. It's up to me to make sure Mitzi gets better, and she's not going to without cold, hard cash. This is how I can help. When I get back to campus, I head to play practice. But my path to the auditorium is blocked when I see a massive crowd of hundreds of students blocking the pathways. It looks like the crowd is split into two groups. They're both shouting at each other, waving signs. A bunch of students have gathered to watch the fight and encourage the two sides to get even more fired up. I spot Mamie in the crowd. I maneuver my way toward her and ask, "What's going on?" She scowls. Cali Proud is hosting a voting registration event this weekend because they want to encourage students to vote in the upcoming election. They're advocating for freedom care. That's the program that's paying for Mitzi's treatments, I realize. Does freedom care benefit LGBTIQA+ rights? I ask. It helps pay for transition surgeries and medication for trans people, Mamie explains, which is why the Faith Fellowship is against it. The Faith Fellowship is a religious group on campus, made up of students and the local church. Cali Proud is the school's LGBTIQA+ organization. The two groups typically leave each other alone. Sometimes they even fundraise together for certain events. But now it looks like the two organizations are at an impasse. I don't see why the voting registration event is an issue. Cali Proud is trying to get people on campus to have a say about our government, not telling people how to vote, I say. Yeah, they're educating the public about freedom care, but they're not forcing people to vote yes or no, just spreading information on the program. The Faith Fellowship is claiming that the Cali Proud students are getting special privileges by advocating for trans rights because the school shut down the fellowship's rally on campus last year that protested against them, Mamie says. A sour taste enters my mouth. Yeah, I sure as hell remember that. It's not like they can do anything about it. This is a secular college, I note. They can state their opinion, but the fellowship can't make the school change policy. That's discriminatory. Mamie purses her lips together and says, I don't know. She huffs as she turns away from the protest and starts walking the other way. I follow her. Why do you even hang out with those fellowship guys? They're really rude, Mamie grumbles. I haven't attended a meeting since last semester, I say. I have a membership with the Faith Fellowship, and am technically still a part of the group, though I haven't been around since the end of freshman year. The fellowship had been okay, I guess. We had worship nights and did typical college church group stuff, like Bible studies and weekend potlucks at the pastor's house. When I'd attended, it had been nice, and the group had given me a home away from home when I didn't feel like leaving my dorm. Then, late in the semester, the pastor who led the Faith Fellowship told the members that we had to attend a mandatory rally on campus. They'd shoved a microphone in my hands and told me I needed to shout at people walking by to try and force them to convert. I wasn't very good at it, and it felt awkward. When the pastor who led the group noticed I wasn't exactly jumping out of my seat to yell at students on the sidewalk, he called me lukewarm about my faith. I couldn't have been more offended. I dipped out of the rally and haven't been back to the fellowship since. The school shut the rally down because the fellowship members had said some pretty rude-ass things and nearly started a campus brawl. I guess the fellowship was still salty about it, and now they wanted to rain on Cali Proud's parade. Yeah, we all had the right to state our opinions and have our own beliefs, but the fellowship had taken it too far last year. People could have gotten hurt. Why is the Faith Fellowship against freedom care? It doesn't just benefit trans people. It provides resources for all kinds of patients who can't afford medicine for life-threatening conditions, I say. People are going to die without it. Mamie's expression becomes even more bitter. The fellowship is spreading misinformation and telling students that if freedom care passes, the government is going to decide who's allowed to get treatment and who isn't. What's worse, people aren't bothering to look into the bill and read it for themselves, so they're believing every word the fellowship says.
That's not how freedom care works, I say in disbelief.
I can't understand why anyone wouldn't want a sick person to get help. Because they think that if everyone gets treatment, there isn't going to be enough medical staff and medicine to go around. So they want to make sure they have what they need and damn everyone else. Mamie shakes her head. I don't know. It's stupid. Let's take our minds off of it, I offer. There's not much we can do to help right now. Mamie doesn't say anything, but she walks closer to my side. We head toward the auditorium in silence, and I find myself lost in my thoughts. I hadn't exactly been for gay rights before I'd come to CSU, but then I'd gotten to campus, and I met a lot of cool gay people who were a lot like me. I learned that just because I was straight, it didn't make me any different from people who had alternate sexualities. Everything I'd been taught as a kid about gay people by my church just seemed silly now, because it had all been wrong. It definitely hadn't been the truth, and I was more than a little bitter about it, even now. I hated being lied to. But that's what the fellowship's doing, lying to people about freedom care because they don't like what the program offers. It's gross. But maybe the fellowship is just misguided. They're not bad people. I'm sure they think they're doing the right thing. We walk into the auditorium, and I scoff as we walk past the cardboard cutout. In another bizarre rendition of Juan Julio's journey, he's officially become some sort of play god. The cast has propped him backstage in his own mini shrine of cardboard boxes and are leaving him offerings of beaded necklaces, snacks, stickers, and alcoholic drinks at the base of the cardboard cutout to appeal for a blessing from him so opening night goes well. I saw Aviel and Sparkles bowing to it yesterday. They made me do it too, because now apparently it's a tradition to do so before practice starts. This play is quickly becoming a cult. I can't find a couple of the cast members. I go looking for them around the auditorium, and when I don't see them anywhere, Mamie and I decide to check the green room in the back. It's where most of the cast hangs out when they're not on stage. When I open up the door to the green room, a huge cloud of smoke comes barreling out. I immediately start hacking up a lung. Shit, guys, do you really have to do this back here? I complain.
It's called the green room for a reason,
Aviel says blearily. You got a scene that's coming up next, pal, I bark at him. Hope you can remember your lines. He and a couple of cast members, who are more high than sober, stumble out of the green room.
Getting high really isn't my thing, and it isn't Mamie's either. We duck inside to open up a few windows and let the room air out. There's weed everywhere, Mamie says with a laugh, kicking some wrappers aside. Pineapple's eyes are red, and she rubs them. Hedge found some good stuff. It was hidden under a cushion in the sex couch. Finders keepers. Sex couch? I ask, raising an eyebrow. You can't tell me you haven't heard the rumors about this, baby, Pineapple asks, slapping the ugly neon green couch that she currently sits on. This sex couch has been here in the green room since the 70s, and everyone in the theater group has banged on it at least once. It's basically a rite of passage. Well, I haven't, so it can't be that great of a couch, I joke. It's a legend, Pineapple says, almost solemnly. When it works its magic on you, you'll know. Thanks for letting me know you slept on this thing. No problem. I leave it in your capable hands. Pineapple pops up from her seat and cheerfully dances out of the green room. I look at Mamie. Have you used the sex couch? No. Mamie's response is sharp. I can't believe you'd ask that. Okay. I was just asking. I know I had a reputation back home, but I'm not easy everywhere I go, okay? She snaps. I stare at her. I don't think that, Mamie. I never have. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. Her expression softens. It's all right, Raz. I know you didn't mean anything by it. I didn't always believe those rumors in high school, especially after I got to know you, I press, to get my point across. You never should have in the first place. She crosses her arms and looks down. I know. It was wrong to judge you back then. I'm sorry. People made stuff up about you because they were jealous of how cool you are. Wish everyone would see it that way. She sighs, then turns around in the doorway. To answer your question, I haven't been with anybody since we left high school. So, no, the sex couch has not worked its magic on me. She's halfway down the hallway before her voice echoes in my direction. Wish it would, though. I don't acknowledge the comment and hustle back to the stage so we can get on with rehearsal. When we go through Act 3 again, something still doesn't seem right. I'm puzzled over what it is, until finally it dawns on me. Wait, hold on for a second, I say from my seat in the auditorium, and the actors on stage pause. I think I figured out what we're missing. A love story. You want to throw that in now? Hedge asks skeptically.
We're 6 weeks away from showtime.
I know it's last minute, but I think that's what the play needs here, I insist. It's the character arc we need that's going to push this play forward, and take it from good to great. I agree, Pineapple says. My character needs more motivation. The question is, who are we going to hook her up with? I think we need to pair her with Sparkle's character, I say, gesturing to her. It's perfect. The bright-eyed newcomer to the city with the devoted sidekick who comes along for the ride. Classic pair-up. Sparkles pauses. You mean you want to put the main character with another woman? Yeah, what's wrong with that? I ask. Nobody says anything at first, until Ferio speaks up. It's a risky decision, Raz, especially with what's going on at the university right now, he warns. It is, but this is the right choice for the play. We can't be afraid of telling the story we want. No, need to tell, because we're worried about what others might say, I argue. Or do, Aviel adds. Pineapple steps forward. Raz is right. I think we need to make this change, and with how the play is written now, pairing up my character with Sparkle's role makes sense. What do you say, Sparkles? Sparkles hesitates before she says, The way the story is written, no other relationship would really fit the story. I can't believe we didn't see it before. It's so obvious. It really is, I nod. Part of my subconscious must have written this play in a certain way, so that I didn't see the perfect pairing right before my eyes. So many lines I wrote point to this development, and it flew right under my nose. Sparkles nods in a determined way. You rewrite my lines, Raz. I'll perform them however your vision sees fit. I'll have an updated script for you guys in the morning, I promise. I know it's a last-minute change, but I don't think we can release this play without it. Everyone voices their agreement. We leave practice early for the day, because we can't really continue until I modify the script. I'm planning to go back to my dorm and do just that before Mamie grabs my sleeve. "Oh, no you don't," she says. "The cast is going to a karaoke bar tonight, and it wouldn't be fun without our star director." "Are you kidding me?" I blurt. "I don't sing." "You do now." Before I can call the police and alert them I'm being kidnapped, Mamie and the rest of the cast stuff me in a car and drive me to a karaoke bar on the other side of LA. I pout in the back seat and try not to be crushed between Hedge and Aviel. They keep high-fiving each other, nearly slapping me in the face. Great. I've been taken by crazy people. I don't know why everyone likes me so much. I never gave anyone the impression that I'm ever having fun on these escapades. The cast must have rented out the entire bar, because all 30 kids clamber into the place and take up every table. I sit at a table with Mamie and buy a non-alcoholic mixer while Mamie orders fruit sandwiches and mochi. Apparently, this is Hedge and Aviel's thing. They run on stage and grab the microphone before anybody else so they can do manly duets of Disney princess songs. The boppy tunes change into opera, and Hedge earns a standing ovation from the audience for his ear-shattering interpretation of Andrea Bocelli. "When are you going to get up there?" Mamie teases. "Me? No, I told you, I don't sing," I say, sipping my drink. "Come on, do one for me?" She bats her eyelashes, and I shake my head. "Fine, one for you." Mamie drags me on stage. Somebody shoves a microphone into my hand, and Mamie picks up the other, choosing a duet from a cheesy high school musical. People whoop and cheer as I start singing. A couple of cast members come on stage to loop a feather boa around my neck and shove sparkling sunglasses onto my face. Mamie and I sing the song together, and I have to thank God that her pretty voice covers up my absolutely awful croak. Okay, this is actually kind of a blast. I get why Aviel and Hedge come here all the time. I take Mamie's hand and give her a twirl, and she giggles into the microphone. I would be embarrassed to admit that I know all the dance moves to this song if I was with any other group, but I'm with the theater kids, and they know the movements too, so the entire karaoke club turns into a coordinated dance segment performed by our entire class. The collective voices drown out the sound of me and Mamie on the microphone. When the song ends, I find that I don't want to get off the stage. Mamie and I sing a couple more songs until Sparkles rips the microphone out of my hands and demands that it's Juan Julio's turn. After Mamie and I return to our seats, Pineapple drags Juan Julio on stage. She sings deeply into the microphone, pretending that the cutout is performing the provocative song. Sparkles acts out Juan Julio, giving her a striptease, and the rest of the cast throws dollars on stage. Does anyone else think that this is an uncomfortable work environment between coworkers? I ask Mamie. She shrugs. Hey, it's college. I can't keep the goofy grin off my face. College indeed. Aviel and Hedge go running back on stage, but at this point they're pretty drunk. Hedge falls into a speaker and ends up breaking it. Unfortunately, when that happens, the speaker catches on fire. "Run!" Aviel shouts, and the entire cast goes screaming toward the exit as the owner of the karaoke bar comes hurtling out of the kitchen with a fire extinguisher. The fire alarm goes off, and the sprinklers overhead start spraying water everywhere. The owner puts out the fire, but he shakes his fist and yells swear words at us in Japanese as he dials his phone to call the cops. Time to go. I yank Mamie out of her chair and push her toward the door. Once we're outside, I bend over my knees to catch my breath. "Well, we're never getting invited back there again," I gasp. "Absolutely not." Mamie combs her hair away from her face. "What do we do now?" "Cast party on the beach!" Aviel yells, and everyone cheers. Mamie pulls me into her car with a laugh, and the next thing I know, we're miles away from the karaoke bar and looking at the ocean. This time of night, the beach is completely deserted. Hedge grabs some driftwood and starts a bonfire, while other kids pull bags of marshmallows from the back seats of their cars. It's a pretty dark night, so I can't see much. Aviel, who's so wasted at this point from the karaoke bar that he can barely stand, shouts, "Skinny dipping in the Pacific!" He rips off his shirt and the rest of his clothes before he starts swimming into the ocean. I shake my head as I watch him stagger into the waves, seeing more of him than I ever wanted to. I figure everybody's going to ignore him, but I guess tonight's the night to get crazy, because before I know it, clothes are flying everywhere and people are rushing into the water. Mamie stands at the edge of the shoreline. She stares up at the moon, then at me before she smirks. You gonna be a chicken? This isn't what I had in mind for the rest of the evening's schedule. But it's not like this is some huge deal. It's just a bit of messing around. And I'm not going to lose face by not diving in. Everyone will think I have a tiny dick or something. I'll never hear the end of it. No way. I yank off my shirt and start unbuttoning my pants, tossing them to the sand. Mamie doesn't watch me, but instead turns around and pulls off her own clothes. I strip down to my boxers, but that's all that's coming off, people. I do have some standards, even if they're currently on the bottom of the ocean floor. Mamie stays in her bra and panties and grabs my hands to lead me into the water. We're laughing as the chilly ocean hits our middles. This should feel more awkward than it is, but it doesn't. I don't know. Mamie and we just get each other. It doesn't feel uncomfortable to do this with her. We swim at a distance away from the others. Aviel and Hedge have found a large rock and are currently trying to push each other off of it while a group of students gather around them and yell a barbaric chant like they're in Lord of the Flies. Didn't think this was how I'd be spending my night, I crack. Hey, you need to get out more, Mamie says. This might be the creative inspiration you need. I catch a glimpse of Hedge's bare ass as he poses like Hercules on the rock and say, sure, the muse is certainly being stirred within me. Or is being terrorized, depending on how you see it. Mamie laughs. I look at the water droplets hanging off her lashes, then glance outward at the darkness beyond. The ocean's so big and wide. It could swallow me, her, and everyone else in the whole world up in it. Does anything really matter when the sea is that massive and deep? It's cold out here. Mamie moves closer. She puts her arms around my neck and presses her front to mine. Don't let me float away. I put my hands under her thighs and boost her up, so she's got her legs wrapped around me. Never. Mamie stares at me. It's so dark I can't see much of her features. The light of the moon is the only illumination, and all it shows is her eyes. She puts her forehead to mine and brushes back my hair. We stay like that for a long moment, so long it starts to become uneasy, before something in her gaze changes, and the moment breaks. Her eyebrows crinkle together as she slides off me. She wades a couple of paces away. You okay? I ask. Yeah, I'm great. Her voice is soft and really quiet. I can barely hear her. I know what she said is a lie. We float in the ocean for a few more minutes, but we don't talk anymore. When we return to shore, Mamie doesn't look at me. We gather around the bonfire and huddle under blankets and towels that Sparkles had sitting in her car. I offer to share my blanket with Mamie, but she tells me she wants her own. When I gesture for her to sit next to me, she goes to the other side of the fire. Okay, fine. Be that way. We'd usually share marshmallows, like we share all of our food, but we don't this time. Once she's dry, Mamie waves to the others and leaves the beach party without saying goodbye to me. Dude, what happened? You guys have a fight? Aviel asks me, gesturing to Mamie's car as she drives off. I shrug lamely. I don't know, but that's a lie, too. Chapter 7. Mamie and I don't see each other much, which really sucks because we usually hang out every day. We communicate at play practice, but we don't go anywhere outside of class together, except for Scarlet Moon Ranch. I volunteer there every weekend, teaching Kylie how to ride Garnet. Kylie had been afraid to get on Garnet's back at first, and now she canters her around the arena with ease. Honestly, volunteering at the ranch is the least stressful part of my week, and I always come back to campus in a good mood. Kylie's not a bad kid. She's just in a bad spot, and I'm glad I can help her out. Despite being mentors in the same program, Mamie and I have different kids, so we don't get to speak to each other often. She drives me to the ranch, but we listen to music the entire way there and the entire way back instead of talk. It bums me out. I want my best friend back. And she is my best friend, no doubt about that. I've never told her, and I'm starting to regret that. I should say it now, but whenever I see her, I can't seem to find the words on what she means to me. At the beginning of November, I'm close to wrapping up filming for Colorado Snow. And thank God, because I don't know how much more of it I can take. I'm also really stressed out about the vote for Freedom Care in a few days, because I know if the bill doesn't pass, Mitzi won't be able to access treatment. I gave my aunt and uncle all the money I'd been paid by the studio for her surgery, and now I'm broke again. I try telling myself that it'll be all right. Once our film schedule is over, I'll go looking for more work, and I'm sure I'll find other acting jobs. Casting directors will want to hire someone who's been on Colorado Snow. Then once I get paid, I can funnel that money back into Mitzi's medical care. On one of the last days of my film schedule, I grab a coffee from the school cafeteria and head in the direction of the bus stop. But as I'm about to turn the corner and walk out the door, I hear Mamie's voice. She sounds pretty upset. So I keep waiting for Raz to notice me, and he never does. This isn't a conversation I should be walking in on. I turn to go the other way, but I find my feet won't budge. You should make the first move, Sparkles replies. I press myself to the wall to listen closer. I tried. You should have seen me. I was practically throwing myself at him during the beach party, and he gave me nothing. Mamie sounds so broken. I know he's not that oblivious. It's clear he's not interested. He just doesn't have the heart to say so. This has gone on long enough. You need to tell him how you feel, Sparkles insists. I can't. He'll run away. I know him. She lets out a sigh. But I'm getting tired of waiting around. I don't want to listen to any more of this. I manage to rip myself away from the wall and go in the other direction to avoid her. Colors pass by in a blur as I stare out the bus window, not really looking at anything in particular. Mamie's words keep replaying in my mind, and the cycle spins me downward. Mamie doesn't understand. I have a broken heart. I can't be with anybody else. She does so much for me. I don't deserve her. I don't think I'll be able to get Mamie out of my head, but the issues I'm currently dealing with fly out the window as I walk into the studio. Harmon Weiner is berating Javi in a way that makes me feel embarrassed for him.
What the hell did they teach you in acting school?
Weiner bellows.
Because I'm starting to think that education of yours was wasted.
For crying out loud, we haven't even started filming. Javi hangs his head. I grit my teeth and turn away, stomping over to makeup. This is a daily routine with Spencer and I. I sit in the chair to get my hair and makeup done for today's set, and Spencer talks bullshit about the studio, Weiner, and everyone else around here who's being a jerk. Spencer sighs when I sit down. They glance over at Weiner, who is still berating Javi, and says, "You're a great actor, Raz, but if you ask me, Javi should have gotten the part of Roy Bodaway instead of you. Don't get me wrong, you deserve to be on this show for sure, but I think they should have given you a different part. Because it makes more sense for Javi to play Roy and not you, seeing as how Roy was from Mexico." What? I turn in my seat. Roy Bodaway was a real person? You didn't know that? Spencer blinks. Huh, you should have been informed. My stomach ties itself into knots. I immediately take out my phone and start searching the internet for Roy Bodaway. The nausea in my gut gets even worse as I read about him. Roy Bodaway was a real person. He'd been a detective from Mexico City who solved a lot of cold cases back in the 1800s and retired to become a famous rancher back in his day. He had brought a bunch of criminals to justice. I never realized. I guess I should have done more research. Needless to say, the pictures of him do not look like me. I get up from the makeup chair before Spencer is done and hurry across the studio, where Veronica is flipping through a script. Her hair is a mess today, and she's got bags of exhaustion under her eyes. I don't want to bother her, but this is important. Veronica, did you know Roy Bodaway was a real guy? Yes, the character in the show is inspired by the historical figure. I wrote him that way, Veronica tells me. Then why isn't he being played by someone of Latino descent? Didn't you put that in the audition notes? I did, Veronica insists, but the studio took it out. During the audition, it came down to you and Javi, But Harmon Weiner had the final decision, and he chose to put you in for Roy and give Javi a minor role. My mouth drops open. I'm speechless. Veronica stares at my gaping mouth, and I manage to stutter. Okay, but is the show going to acknowledge that? Because they should, at the very least, give some sort of statement as to why they chose me to play Roy and not someone else. Maybe I was overreacting, and the studio didn't have bad intentions. I don't think so. Veronica shakes her head. From what was said during the casting decision, the executives thought that you'd bring in a stronger audience than Javi and get less pushback from fans, because you look, well, you know. This is way worse than I thought. I go to say something else, but my voice dies in my throat. By the way, Veronica says, and she hands me a script. I'm sorry to do this to you, but the script was rewritten last night. I suggest you get to work on memorizing your new lines. Rewritten? By who? I demand. She plops a script into my hands. Artificial intelligence, if you really want to know. The studio is looking to replace me. She might as well have punched me in the face. You can't be serious. A computer program can never write as good an episode as you can. No, but the computer program is free, and I'm getting paid, even though it's peanuts, Veronica replies. The company wants to save its peanuts, I guess. The show can't keep making all these last-minute changes, I hiss. Tell that to Weiner and the execs. Veronica shrugs miserably. Everyone knows my words fall on deaf ears. Veronica seems like she's too upset to talk about it anymore, so she strides off and leaves me with the new script. We aren't starting for the next few hours, so I spend that time reading the new script I've been given. By the end, I'm absolutely furious. The new script that the AI program generated doesn't make any sense, and worse than that, it's really boring. I know the company is just testing out AI capabilities, but honestly, what the program generated sucks. The show can't go forward with this script, otherwise the fans are going to be pissed. What Veronica wrote for this week's episode is way better, and I'm angry they tossed it out to replace it with this garbage. I can't do this anymore. I need to give Harmon Weiner a piece of my mind. He's sitting in his director's chair and eating a donut. I clench the script in my hands and stand before him. Sir, I have to speak with you.
What is it, my boy?
Harmon asks, dusting sugar off his coat. I try my best not to grit my teeth. The new script, it's wrong, sir. The studio goes super quiet. Everyone in the room turns to look at us, holding their breath.
Wrong? Boy, what are you talking about?
Weiner demands. I take a shaking breath. To be frank, sir, the new script has poor quality. What the AI program wrote for Roy Badawi is illogical. My character would never do this, and the whole storyline doesn't add up. We need to stick with the old ending and go with Veronica's script. Weiner guffaws.
Boy, I hate to tell you this, but you're an actor. We pay your check for you to perform the scenes as they're written, and nothing else.
I'm not just an actor. I'm an artist, I insist. And it's clear the AI program deviated a long way from the source material. Weiner looks like he's losing his patience. My fellow castmates give me pleading looks, telling me to give in. I don't care. I'm standing my ground on this.
Boy, do you understand that an American audience is too stupid for complicated plots? Weiner says, waving me off. The earlier seasons of the show were too complex and dark, too layered. Our research and algorithms show that viewers appreciate lighthearted and easily digestible content. Look at what we're dealing with when it comes to social media. In the past 10 years, the attention span of our audience has become 5 seconds or less. No viewer has time to sit down and think about what they're consuming. This is what the people want.
I'm a huge fan of the show, and it's not, I insist. If you do this, and continue to do this, the viewers are going to stop watching. The characters are a phenomenal part of this show, and as the AI program has written them, they become nothing more than carbon copies of tropes we've already seen before. Weiner laughs. People want plot-driven entertainment. They couldn't give a shit about the characters. I'll tell you what we need, boy. A highly creative concept, and the AI program gave us that. I stare at him, because I'm not even sure how to respond. But how are you going to maintain a highly creative concept if you want the show to be simple? You can't replace quality art with a business algorithm that's suited to squeeze out dollars instead of speak to people. We're too big to fail, and this studio needs to make shows that appeal to everyone so we can get the most amount of viewers. This service has never canceled a popular show, Weiner grunts. That's a lie. One Weiner might believe, but nobody else in this studio does. Cinemix Central has canceled a lot of shows at the end of the first season or halfway through the next because the show was still working on growing an audience. It's sad. Those shows have been good and had a lot of potential to get big over time. But since the company hadn't made billions of dollars upon release, the executives decided to pull them. I didn't know what kind of show could survive when the standards for the first season were to pull in $1 billion or more. It was incredibly difficult to do that, even when the show had a strong audience. Viewers have started canceling subscriptions, and I overheard a couple of executives whispering to each other yesterday that they can't figure out why. I can't understand how these executives, who are getting paid millions of dollars a year to run this studio, have absolutely no idea what they're doing when it comes to making art, and don't have any comprehension on how it works and why it makes them money. Having a degree in business means nothing when it comes to creating an artistic brand. It's like the viewers are screaming at this company, telling them what they want to see. But instead of listening, the executives are pinching pennies and trying to figure out the lowest common denominator of what audiences are willing to put up with in order to make a buck. And Harmon Weiner is backing them up. It's insane. Well, look, entertainment shouldn't appeal to everyone, I insist. What are you saying to your audience if you refuse to say anything at all? And what about Javi? What about him? Weiner sneers. To the right, Javi completely stills. He should have played the part of Roy Bodaway, not me. Are you ungrateful for the opportunity we gave you? You were a nobody before we hired you, Weiner bellows. Of course I'm not ungrateful, I insist. But Roy Bodaway was a real person, and his story is being portrayed in the show. He was a Latino detective who made history. He shouldn't be played by a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy like me. I could understand if this was a small studio that didn't have a big budget or a lot of choices when it came to finding talent. It's understandable if an indie production makes the best effort it can to find the right actor, and if they're not able to hire someone who fits, to go with a performer that's interested in the piece and wants to do justice by the character. I take another breath. But it's not okay for Cinemix Central to do this. This is the biggest streaming corporation in the world, and the company has endless resources and access to funds. Javi is perfect for the part. He's a great actor, and he's Latino, like Roy was. You should have picked him. This show isn't overtly political, Weiner growls. He started out this conversation annoyed, but now he's getting pissed. Everything's political. Everything we do is some sort of statement, especially when the company is making a show this big, I insist. We don't have to be over the top, but we can be inclusive. Weiner snorts. Don't you read the comments on social media? The company can't afford to go woke or it'll go broke. The backlash doesn't matter. Doing the right thing does. The true fans will stick by the show, and it'll continue to be successful long term, even if the initial blowback is hard to weather. Weiner lets out a sputtering breath. Well, obviously you haven't been working in this industry for very long. I crush the script I'm holding in my fingers. I can hear the paper crumpling. Look, it's okay if a company wants to make changes to a character if that character's race and identity aren't inherently important to the story. But it is here, I demand. The company needs to do better, or at least acknowledge their mistakes and be willing to learn from them going forward. And what about Veronica and how little she's being paid? Like I said, I could understand if Cinemix Central was a small studio with a limited budget, and if they negotiated with the writers to make it fair for everyone. But this is the biggest streaming service in the world. We don't need to use an AI program. The company can afford to pay their writers. They just don't want to. Harmon Weiner erupts out of his chair. His face has gone completely red as he screams at me from the top of his lungs. You shut your damn mouth if you want to stay on this set, boy! The people around me cringe. Veronica's watching. She's clutching the binder that holds the original script to her chest. Spencer's got a hand over their mouth. Javi's tearing up. I didn't realize me sticking up for him would mean this much. As I look around the room and take in the faces of all the talented individuals standing around me, I finally realize it's not Harmon Weiner that's creating all these incredible works of cinema. It's the people around him, all the amazing actors, set and costume designers, and writers who are making the stories this company creates. He's just taking all the credit. I'm speaking up for what I believe in, I say finally. You don't have to listen, but at least I said my piece. Weiner scowls. You're just a little punk who thinks he's a big shot now that he's got a job in this town. All you little assholes think the same. Let me tell you something, kid. You wouldn't even have this job if your girlfriend hadn't gotten you in here. My blood becomes ice. What? Weiner smirks like he's finally got me. Fairy Mayhem's got more pull than you think. He might have slipped your name our way. Bet you thought you got here by yourself, huh? Wake up, boy. That's not how things work around here. My lungs must have collapsed because I can't breathe. Weiner narrows his eyes and growls. Now study the new script and be ready to start filming in an hour. People's gazes drop, like they know I've finally been defeated. There isn't much left in me to fight back, but from somewhere inside, there's still a little rebel that refuses to give up. Quietly, I whisper, No. Weiner gnashes his teeth. Where did you... No! My voice is loud this time, and a couple of people gasp. I won't do this. If this is the direction the company is taking, I won't be a part of it. You can't walk out of here! Weiner yells. You have a contract! I back away, shaking my head. Screw the contract. I quit. Weiner's still screaming at me, but I refuse to listen. I head toward the door, and a cast parts out of my way. Spencer is applauding my exit. Before I leave, I clap Javi on the shoulder and say, Give them hell, man. Javi nods and soberly smiles. I stride out of the studio and promise myself that I'm not coming back. I barely remember the bus ride back to campus. Once I stumble off the bus, I drag myself to a secluded alleyway on campus and try to catch my breath. I feel terribly sick. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I just wanted to voice my concerns, and it turned into a whole meltdown. I won't get hired again. Word's gonna get around that I walked off set and broke contract. Nobody's going to give me a job, and I won't be able to pay for Mitzi's medicine. I was willing to sell myself to help her, and I threw it all away. I let her down. Now, who knows if she's going to recover? She could die, and it'll be my fault. I throw up. I fall to my hands and knees and don't stop puking until there's nothing left in my stomach. When I'm finally done retching, I wipe my mouth with a quivering hand and try to get the world to stop spinning around me. Well, I screwed up again. Typical of me. But it can't be helped now, I guess. Only thing left to do is damage control. Again. I shakily stand. I need to confront Mamie, find out if what Weiner said is true. I go back to my dorm to take a cold shower and change out of my nasty clothes, which have vomit all over them. The second I'm done getting ready, I storm toward the auditorium to get to play practice and talk to Mamie about this. When I walk into the auditorium, my heart drops. The entire cast is standing around on stage, and nobody looks happy. The design crew is dismantling the set, and a couple of kids are crying. For shit's sake, what now? What's going on? I ask. Mamie glances at me and sniffs. Her eyes are red from crying. I want to reach out and bring her into a hug, but I still have reservations about what Weiner said earlier, so I don't. Ferrio appears very grave. I'm sorry, Raz, but the play's funding has been pulled by the school, and the show has been cancelled.
What?
His words level me hard. Much harder than leaving Colorado snow. How? The stupid Faith Fellowship got word of what we were doing and learned that the play has a love story between two women, Mamie says spitefully. They petitioned the school board and said that we're pushing an agenda. The pastor who leads the fellowship threatened the board with a lawsuit. He claims they're showing favoritism because our play is allowed to go on, but their rally last semester was canceled. That's not all, Aviel adds hoarsely. The Fellowship threatened to protest the play on opening night and not let people in to see the show. The board was worried the cops would have to get involved, and the dean doesn't want a lawsuit, so the play is officially done for.
No way! They can't do this!
I shout. They already have, I'm afraid, Ferio says heavily. I was informed of their decision this morning.
Uncle, can you please do something about this? Mamie begs. You have the money to help this show go on, and connections. Could you convince the board to change their mind, or help us find a place where we can still host the show?
Ferio frowns. He gently lays a hand on her shoulder. I'm sorry, my dear. I do have the resources, but I am a representative of this school and a professor that's employed by the board. I don't need this job, but I do wish to continue passing on my knowledge here. If I get involved, it's a conflict of interest and a legal issue. I wish I could be of more assistance, but if you want this play to go on, you'll have to find a way on your own. I don't blame Ferio. He's just trying to be a good teacher. But Mamie rips away from him and spits.
Fine, whatever. We don't need you.
Raz, what are we going to do? Sparkles asks.
We've worked so hard on this play. It can't all be for nothing.
Everyone looks at me. I hate being put in the spotlight during a moment like this. Mamie meaningfully glances at me, and I choke out. Everyone just go home. I'll try to figure something out. Silence drapes over the room until eventually there's scraping sounds as people get out of chairs and walk toward the exit. Ferio sighs as he exits the theater. The design crew abandons the set, which is only half dismantled. Mamie and I are the only two people left in the theater. I go to leave too, but she snatches my wrist and says, No, Raz, you can't give up. We need to come up with a solution. What's there to come up with? I ask her. The play's cancelled. Done. There's nothing more we can do.
That's bullshit. We can figure this out.
Where are we going to host it? I throw my arms out.
Auditoriums are expensive as hell in LA, way out of any budget we could come up with at the last minute, and they book up for years, not weeks. We don't have time to find another venue.
Then we push the opening night back, but we don't give in, Mamie says firmly. I give a bitter laugh. I don't understand why you can't give up on lost causes. It's a real bad habit of yours, you know that? And what's that supposed to mean? She crosses her arms. Did you give my name to Harmon Weiner? I see a flash of panic cross her eyes. Then her lips flatten and she says, I might have asked Ferio to bring it up at a party for producers.
I can't believe you!
I shout. So that crap about it being an open audition for college students was a flat-out lie? Raz, it wasn't anything like that, Mamie insists. Ferio told me that Colorado Snow was looking for young actors, and he showed me the casting call, which was everything I told you it was. I knew it'd be perfect for you, so I told him to mention you to the casting director. He goes out to dinner with these stuffy people all the time. It wasn't like he pushed them to hire you. He just gave them a little nudge. And you failed to mention this?
You betrayed me!
Oh my God, Raz. She rolls her eyes. I know you have a penchant for the dramatic, but that's ridiculous. I knew if I told you, you wouldn't think you got the part on your own, and you'd doubt yourself and fail to perform. I swore I was going to tell you once you got done filming the first season, but I lost that chance.
I wanted to get myself to the top, not rely on handouts from other people,
I insist.
Success doesn't exist in a vacuum, Raz, Mamie spits. Nobody's self-made. Everyone who's made it to the big leagues had some kind of help along the way, be it a little or a lot. Yeah, I got you that invitation to that audition. So what? All I did was get you in the door. Your talent got you the job. And you shouldn't be ashamed of that, because it's not a handout. It was just an opportunity I helped you find, and you took it.
I scoff. Yeah, an opportunity that I wouldn't have had if you hadn't gotten involved.
Who cares?
Mamie throws her hands skyward.
It's not a sin for somebody to have a rich family and connections. Yeah, advantages and privilege in this industry can help, but that only gets people so far. You need to have talent to make it here, and you're the real deal, Raz. Everyone can see that. I'm not that talented if I need my friends to land me a job. You don't get it. Success isn't an individual endeavor. It's a team effort that requires community. Some people have connections in the industry or parents who can pay for a great acting coach. Some people have spouses that take care of the house or the kids while they're going off to auditions. Some people have roommates that help them pay for rent when jobs aren't coming in. There's all kinds of help out there, Raz. When someone becomes successful, yeah, a lot of it comes down to that person's work and drive. But truly successful people have a team of others behind them to lift them up and help them get to where they want to go. Her voice becomes sarcastic. I hoped you would have figured that out by now. You should have, being the director of this play. That bites me harder than I'm willing to admit. It doesn't matter. I broke contract and walked off set today. I choke up and turn my back on her. I quit on the spot because I just can't take working for Weiner anymore. My reputation is ruined. Now Mitzi's not going to be able to get what she needs, and it's my doing. Mamie's voice softens. It's not your fault if something happens to your cousin, Raz. A little girl shouldn't have to fight to get treatment for a disease. No one should. No, but that's how this world works, and I threw my shot at helping her away. I face her again. I'm no good for you either. You should stay away from me. I'm not going anywhere, Mamie says viciously. I told you before, you're stuck with me. If you were smart, you'd leave, just like Puppy did. I snap back. Mamie's eyes ignite. Again with this? You know what, Raz? I never got why you were so obsessed with Carmen. She was always mean to you. She never liked you. She liked the attention you gave her. She acted like you were the attention whore, but she was the one who always needed to be the center of everything. And believe me, it shows now that she's famous. So she was a diva. Maybe I have a type. You don't, though. She was bad for you. That's fine, because I'm not good for anyone. Stop sticking up for her. Mamie's voice rises. She's not a good person. You don't need to go begging for crumbs of love from someone who won't even give you the time of day unless it benefits her. What she did to you that night was fucked up, Raz. God, Mamie is so right. I don't know why it still hurts this bad. You accuse me of holding on to it, but you're still mad about what happened, I point out. Yeah, I'm pissed about it. Wish I wasn't, but I am. Mamie slaps her arms against her sides. I'll always be angry about how she hurt you. She didn't have to love you, but she could have let you down in a nicer way. What do you want me to do about it, Mamie? She was my best friend. She wasn't your friend. None of those people were. Because if they really were friends, they'd still be here at your side. And where are they now? Mamie demands. Don't you see, Raz? They're jealous of you. They see you going out into the world, pursuing what you love and making something of yourself, while they're stuck in Limesville, too afraid to take a chance on a dream. Those aren't friends. Those are competitors. And you don't need people in your life who refuse to cheer you on and won't lift you up. The truth is too hard to swallow. And it's really hard to look her in the eye right now, when it never was before. I don't know what I'm going to do without them, I say weakly. Mamie shrugs. You've got to admit that not everyone can come with us. She said us. It's a two-letter word that changes everything. I swallow the lump in my throat. I just wish I could forget about it and pretend it never happened. High school, all of it. You shouldn't. You should be proud of it. You directed and starred in your own movie when you were 17, Raz. Don't you understand how impressive that is? No matter how silly it turned out to be? It doesn't mean anything, I argue. We didn't even use the right camera. Oh, I'm so sick of you putting down everything we've done, Mamie shouts. Do you have any idea that I didn't know who or what I wanted to be until we did that movie in high school? I discovered what I wanted for my future because you showed me how incredible this world could be. I used to be proud of our movie, but not anymore, I seethe. I'm older now and can do so much better now. I'm more experienced. I don't want people to see my old work and get the wrong impression of the kind of actor I am today.
Mamie makes a scoffing noise.
Do you even hear yourself? Yeah, the movie is cheesy. It's silly and obnoxious and a stupid teenage piece of bullshit. And we made a million mistakes. It's no great monument of art or a cinematic masterpiece.
She grabs my shoulders and shakes me.
But it's ours. We made that together. And we shouldn't be ashamed of something we used to be so proud of and try to hide it in the dark. Because you know what? That movie made us who we are. It doesn't matter that we're better at what we do now, because we had to start somewhere, and that movie got us here. We learned who we are and what we wanted to be because of it. And I say we did pretty damn well for a bunch of teenagers who didn't know what the hell they were doing. We made that movie because we loved our work. I don't care if some stupid film executive or big production company thinks it's garbage, because I know in my heart that what we did was real. So go ahead and hate it because you think it's cringe, Raz, but I don't. I love it, and I always will.
Mamie turns her back on me and storms out. As she grabs the door handle, she shakily spits out.
Just like I love you, but you never hear me.
Sometimes I wonder if you're choosing not to listen. The door slams, and I wince at the echoing noise it makes. I can't keep standing anymore, so I stagger downward and fall on my ass. I pull my knees up and stick my head between my legs as I try to breathe. I know Mamie loves me. I've always known, really. It's been obvious for years. But something's become very different now that she said it out loud. We had some sort of silent, unspoken agreement to keep what's between us in the dark, so we could remain friends. But she's sick of hiding it and won't any longer. Now she wants to know if I'm going to do the same. I put a hand in my hair, let out a long breath, and try to sort out my complicated feelings. Nothing seems straightforward. I can't give her an answer about any of this, because I can't give myself an answer. Maybe I haven't admitted to myself how I feel about Mamie, because I know what I feel for her is real, and what I felt for Puppy was fake. Which is absolutely terrifying, because I'm certain what I felt for Puppy was some sort of infatuation, an idealization of who she was, and not real love. And when she left, that leveled me. If I really care about Mamie, I can't imagine how wrecked I'd be if she... I shudder. This isn't going anywhere. Better to not let something start than let it go too far. I remain sitting in the vacant auditorium until my heartbeat finally slows and I feel like I can breathe again. Forget this. I've had some time to think, and I've made up my mind. I'm leaving. There's no reason for me to stay in California anymore. I'm no longer in Colorado snow. The play is done for, and I'm pretty sure Mamie is sick of me. Why bother sticking around? I buy a one-way ticket back to Connecticut on my phone, then run back to my dorm to pack my stuff. I'm only taking my clothes. The rest of it can stay behind. I don't care where it ends up. I summon a cab from the street corner and climb in. I've made a lot of impulsive decisions in my life, and this definitely doesn't feel like the right move, but I'm tired of trying to make my dream work. It's exhausting and easier to just give up and give in. As I walk into the airport, it feels like I'm running away from something rather than toward it, but I don't care. This is my only option, and what has to be done. I watch the lights of LA disappear beneath the window as the plane lifts into the sky. It crushes me to think what Mamie's reaction is going to be when she figures out I've left without a goodbye. Can't be helped, I guess. No matter how much she means to me, I know she's better off if I'm gone. Chapter 8. When I land at the airport in Connecticut, it's about 7 in the morning. I shiver. It's freezing here, and snow is starting to fall outside. I've forgotten how cold it can be in the Northeast and didn't dress for the weather. I don't want to call my uncle and ask for a ride, but I have nowhere else to go. But as I'm working up the courage to dial his number, my phone rings. It's sore. My already bad mood turns worse. He's avoided talking to me for months, and now he wants to speak to me? I pick up the call anyway. Hello?
Hey,
Zor breathes.
I know it's the middle of the night where you are.
It's not, actually. I'm back home. Saying it feels like waving a white flag of defeat, and I hate it.
For real?
Zor's voice is high with excitement.
Are you here to stay?
I scuff my shoe against the floor. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Do you have a place to crash?
I squeeze an arm around my middle. I was going to move back in with my aunt and uncle, honestly.
I actually just got a new lease, and I was looking for a roommate,
Zor says.
It's super cheap, and we'd have a whole house all to ourselves. You want to room with me for a while until you get back on your feet?
I know nothing about this place, and I'm still salty about Zor not talking to me for ages, but I figure it's better than dragging my ass back to my old house with my tail between my legs. Sure, sounds alright. Can you pick me up from the airport now?
Absolutely. I'll be right there.
Zor's smile is huge when he pulls his car into the pickup area. He gets out and gives me a hug. Hey, dude! He claps me on the back and throws my bag in the trunk. Long time no see! Yeah, you could say that. I don't feel like talking much, but Zor is chatting non-stop on the drive back to Limesville, though my responses are short. So why'd you leave California? I thought you landed some role on a big show, Zor asks. Didn't really work out, I guess. I needed a break from it all, I mumble. Well, you know what they say. No place like home. There certainly isn't any place on Earth that's like Limesville. I watch the 2-story buildings on Main Street slowly turtle on by and already feel immensely bored. Now that I've lived in LA, this entire town seems miniature. Too tiny for anything but a slow, uninteresting existence. But at least I know I'm going to be disappointed here. There isn't any hope inside of me for anything else when I'm stuck in this town. Zor stops in front of a small house in a shabby neighborhood a few blocks down from Main Street. I get out of the car and observe the house. My gut sinks when I see that almost every window is cracked or broken, and the front door is hanging off the hinges. At first, I think the house is painted yellow, but the siding is just so old that I see it's merely faded to be that color. On closer inspection, I can tell the house used to be white. There's a hole in the roof that's sunken in and patched carelessly, and trash is laying in the yard. This looks like a house Bethany and I would have vandalized back in the day. Is this place even livable? I ask as I follow Zor inside. I don't want to bring my stuff in here because I'm worried I'll contaminate it. A harsh, rank smell hits my nose, and it churns my stomach. Well, the owner didn't have it inspected before I signed the lease because he said it wasn't up to code and wouldn't pass, but he promised me if I kept quiet and didn't fuss too much about the repairs, I could have this place for $400 a month. This house isn't worth $4. I already want to start running out the door. But then I envision my aunt and uncle's disappointed expressions when I show up back on their doorstep and decide sleeping with cockroaches is better than letting them down. Just because I'm back home doesn't mean they have to know about it. I can see that Zor's been doing his best to keep the place clean, and the furniture he brought here is nice. There's only so much work he can do to shine up a dumpster, but it's clear he's trying to make this house comfortable. He's got a candle on the clean coffee table, and a couple of framed posters cover holes in the walls. Hey, maybe I'm judging it too fast. This house can be home too. Maybe if I put a little effort in and help Zor fix the place up, it won't be so bad. You aren't supposed to be here, a voice whispers in the back of my mind, but I suffocate it. That voice has been screaming at me that I'm doing the wrong thing and that I belong in LA, but I'm not listening to it. This situation isn't great, but I can make it work. Zor flops onto the couch and picks up the TV remote. You can have the back bedroom on the second floor. Be careful going up the stairs, though. When it rains, the water gets in from the roof and they flood. It kind of makes a waterfall. It was pretty stormy last night and they're still a little wet, but it's getting cold out now, so we shouldn't have to worry about rain again until spring. Great. I maneuver my way up the soggy stairs, which sag under my weight and have partially frozen over. The heating in this house sucks too. I slip on a bit of ice and have to grab onto the banister to keep my balance. It cracks and nearly gives way. I manage not to go toppling downward and make it to the top of the stairs. I check out the back bedroom and see that Zor has it all set up with a twin-sized bed and new furniture. Jeez, he must have been looking for a roommate for a long time. I feel bad for the guy, but I feel even worse he got duped on this house. I sit on the bed and check my phone again for the millionth time. Mamie still hasn't texted or called. She must have noticed that I'm gone by now. I sigh and fall back on the bed. A mouse runs across my shoe. I can be happy here, I try telling myself. All that responds is a desperate longing telling me to return back to where I belong. Again, I ignore it and turn on my side to get some sleep. I've been up all night, so it doesn't take long for my eyes to close. I can feel myself drifting off, until the bed falls through the floor. I scream as the bed tumbles through the air and lands on the first floor. Luckily, the mattress cushions my fall, so I don't get hurt. Even so, the entire bed crashes into the kitchen and smashes the table that was underneath the second-floor bedroom. I'm still kind of stunned, so I can't move. Zor comes running in from the living room. He pauses to take in the sight of the destroyed kitchen before he looks up at the hole in the second floor. Shit. Zor rubs the back of his head. Guess we're not using that room anymore. I groan, trying to clamber out of the mess. The mouse that ran across my shoe earlier is on the pillow by my head, squeaking in fright. Yep, home sweet home. It takes 2 years for 2 weeks to pass in Limesville. Everything is so slow here. I look for a job to help out with rent, but nobody's hiring out here. I spend most of my time walking around town, looking for help wanted signs and being really bored. Though we're roommates, Zor never has time to hang out. He puts in long hours at the local factory, then comes home to work on music in the evening. His piano is the one thing from high school he refuses to part with. I can hear him late at night, singing and playing in the spare office for hours until he's forced to get ready for his day job and do it all over again. The guy's sadder than I am, though he acts like everything is all right. It bums me out. I ignore all the emails from my professors asking where I am and warning me that exam week is coming up soon. I get a bunch of texts, emails, and calls from the cast members of the play, but I ignore them all. I feel terrible ghosting them, and they don't deserve it, but I also don't have the courage to man up and tell them I'm not coming back. Mamie hasn't said anything to me. I think she's hurt that I took off and didn't tell her. She doesn't get it. It's easier this way, for the both of us. Cutting contact and ripping the Band-Aid off is the only way to make this hurt less. Better for her and me if we pretend the other person never existed. I was terrified Cinemix Central was going to sue me for the advance they'd paid because I walked off set, but Veronica emailed me a few days after I arrived in Limesville, letting me know she'd written Roy Bodaway out of the show by way of a suspicious death that was connected to one of the murder plots. The company's still using the scenes I've already done, so I can keep the advance as payment for what I completed, but they're refusing to give me the rest of the money for failing to finish. Before she concluded the email, Veronica mentioned this is her last season working on the show. She handed in her resignation the day I'd left, and said the executives planned to replace her with a computer program for all foreseeable seasons going forward. I'd spoken up and lost my job for nothing. At this point, I wish I'd kept my big mouth shut. By the time Sunday morning of week 3 rolls around, I'm feeling pretty damn low. I absolutely hate it here. From the moment I walked through the door, it's like this house is at a permanent vendetta against me. I think it literally wants to kill us. We've been dealing with collapsing floors, pictures flying off walls, and copious amounts of mold in the walls for days. I seriously am wondering if there's a murderous ghost in here who's pissed off that we're crashing his pad and is doing his best to chase us out. I need someone to talk to, but I don't want to wake Zor, because it's his only day off and he has to rest. I figure I'll roll by my home church. I know a lot of the people there. I haven't been by in a while, but I'm sure they'll be happy to see me. I leave the house and start walking that way. I come to a slamming halt on the sidewalk a block away from the church when I see red signs. They're protesting. Freedom Care ended up passing during the election, thankfully, so we no longer have to worry about Mitzi's medical bills. But I guess the Faith Fellowship isn't the only group that doesn't agree with the program, because I can see people from my home church's congregation, people who used to care about me, screaming at cars driving by that freedom care is a plot to ruin the country and that Congress needs to overturn the vote. I figured everything in my life was already ruined, but what's worse is now I can physically feel my worldview peeling apart and crumbling to pieces inside my soul. Some kind of light inside of me flickers out, leaving a hole I know I can never reignite. And I don't want to. When I make the decision, the person I was seconds before and the man I am now splits. These people never cared about me. They just pretended to accept me, and the conditions of that acceptance hung on the agreement that I thought like them and did whatever they told me to do. Well, I don't think like that anymore. I spin on my heel and go storming in the opposite direction. I keep my head down. I have nowhere else to go, no one to talk to, and I'll do anything to avoid spending a second more at that shitty house. I just need to go somewhere to exist right now. I aimlessly amble around until I find myself in front of an old coffee shop Puppy and I used to frequent. Strangely, when I think of her, my heart doesn't clench like it did before. It damn well hurts when I think about Mamie, though. I order a cup of coffee with 2 creams and sit down at an empty table, feeling just as vacant. Not even the coffee shop means anything to me anymore. It's just a place where my past self used to exist, and all that's left here is the ghost of me, asking why I'm still around. I haven't been able to figure that out. I put my head in my hands, trying to block out the rest of the world. Raz? Oh no. I look up. Standing by my table is Uncle Logan, a cup of coffee in his hand. Busted. I give a weak smile that nearly dissolves into tears. Hey. Raz, what are you doing here? He asks, sliding into the seat across from me. You have exams. You should be studying, not 3,000 miles away from campus. I try to spit out some excuse, but that doesn't work. I end up telling him everything. About Harmon Weiner, the studio, the play, all of it. Our coffee's gotten cold by the time I finish. Uncle Logan leans back in his chair. That's pretty tough, Raz. I know. Awful, isn't it? It is. He puts one arm on the table. Although I'm proud of you for standing up to Harmon Weiner, I'm disappointed you deserted the play and the cast. They need you to be a leader. I scoff. Sure messed that up. It's not too late to turn things around, he encourages. I know you, Raz. When you put your mind to something, you come up with solutions, no matter how bad it gets. You can still get back to campus in time and pass your exams. You can still put on this play. How? We don't have any options. Make some, he says firmly. You have people relying on you, and I know more than anyone else you don't want to let Mamie down. My throat gets tight. I've got to change the subject. Do you guys still attend church? We used to go every Sunday. Uncle Logan frowns. No, we stopped going after the pastor found out Mitzi was benefiting from Freedom Care. He and the rest of the congregation tried pushing us to take her out of the program. We had to leave. I'm baffled. Mitzi has cancer. The community should be rallying around her, not telling her what care is or isn't appropriate to seek. I guess nothing's the same anymore, is it? I ask. Change is inevitable, but some things stay the same, Uncle Logan insists. He grasps my arm. Limesville is my home. I grew up here, and I've built my life in this town. I'm okay where I'm at, but I wanted more for you. You're not happy here, Raz. You've got dreams and plans that go way beyond what this place has to offer. I know you've hit a rough spot, and you've made mistakes, but that's what you do when you're young. You screw up, then you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and try again. You apologize to the people you hurt and try to do better. You have all the time in the world to make as many mistakes and bad calls as you want. Then when you're older, I promise you'll look around and realize that somewhere along the way, you figured things out. I can't stop the tears that well up in my eyes. He's right. I've been lying to myself. Limesville isn't home anymore. It hasn't been for a very long time, and I don't fit in here. I don't know if I ever did. Like an old, worn-out jacket, I've grown out of it, and trying to make this place fit me is only going to end up in rips and tears. I would have loved to stay here, have a family, make a life in this small town just like he did. There were things that I missed about this place, but those things are gone now. My old life's over with. Has been for a long time, and I'm starting to learn I can't run away from my troubles. I miss California. I miss goofing off with the rest of the cast on set for the play. I miss Mamie terribly. And for God's sake, this town isn't home. It's never going to be. Not anymore. I have a home somewhere else, a place that has been home for a very long time, and it's waiting for me. My uncle shrugs. You know, your aunt and I wanted to get plane tickets to come see your play. We were going to make a vacation out of it. Mitzi's really excited to see your play on stage, and she doesn't know you're here. That levels me. If I needed a wake-up call, he just delivered it. Shit, I've got to get back to LA. There must be something I can do to make this play work. Hopefully I haven't screwed up my chances with the cast, and with Mamie. Thank you so much, Uncle. I nab my coat, toss my half-consumed coffee, and hurry toward the door. You gave me exactly what I needed. He waves goodbye as I sprint back to Zor's house. I'm planning to grab my stuff and beg him for a ride to the airport, but the minute I throw the door open, I walk into a literal cesspool. Brown sewage water is seeped all over the house. I wade through the nasty water and see that the toilet, the sink, and every faucet in the house is spewing sludge.
I don't know what happened,
Zor wails. He's doing his best to stop the sludge from coming out of the sink with a towel.
It was like this when I got up. Okay, this is horrible,
I yell.
I seriously can't do this anymore.
The only reason I haven't left this house earlier is because I was being stubborn, but I'm finally caving. This is the last straw. I grab Zor by the shirt and haul him outside.
My piano,
he whimpers. I wince as we pass the spare office. The instrument is getting soaked. It's definitely ruined. Yanking Zor in slow motion through the mess feels like some gross scene out of Titanic, except the house is sinking in sewer water, not the ocean, and nobody's playing Nearer My God to Thee, though I swear I can hear it blaring in my ears. When we're finally free of the mess, Zor paces in the front lawn, completely freaking out.
I can't believe this! I just lost everything!
Zor cries. Lost what? I ask harshly. You gained something here, if it means you don't have to stay in this literal shithole. No. He looks skyward. I don't have a backup plan. Your parents are cool. They'll let you come back home. That wasn't the point. I wanted to prove I could do this on my own. He collapses on the ground and hugs his legs to his chest. I carefully sit beside him in the snow. Dude, I'm sorry, but you got ripped off, I say. Screw your landlord. You need to break your lease and run. He gives a bitter laugh. That'd be great if I knew where I was running to. Go to New York. It's what you want. Juilliard already rejected me, he says, and his shoulders slump. So, apply again, and if they still say no, go somewhere else. New York has tons of fine arts schools. I lean in closer. But whatever you do, don't let your dreams dry up in this town. Go study music and figure out a way to make it work. Because it's not worth staying in this town just to feel safe. Because it's not safe. It's just what you know. He sniffs and wipes his face. What if I don't make it in music? You might not, but isn't it better if you try? He gives a miserable shrug. I thought staying in my hometown, getting my own place and working at the factory would be easier. It's not really. Sure, it might seem easy, but if that's the choice you make, you have to watch your dreams die. There's nothing easy about that. Zor stands. You're right, Raz. I can't be a coward and turn away from what I want because I'm scared. Thanks for talking some sense into me. I'll reapply for Juilliard, and if I don't get in, I'll try NYU or something.
If nobody wants me, I'll play in bars and sing in Times Square until someone listens. Now you're talking. He looks back at the awful house. Before I go, I think I might sue the guy who rented me the house, because this is ridiculous. You totally should, I agree. But before you call a lawyer, can you drive me to the airport? You going back? He tilts his head. I nod. Yeah, there's some things I need to make right. Chapter 9. I'm sorry, guys. I was a selfish ass. The entire cast of the play stands around the fountain at the center of the quad. We're not allowed to gather in the auditorium anymore, so this was the best place we could meet. I called a meeting, and miraculously, everyone showed up. I just got done apologizing for what a massive jerk I was, and am begging for a chance to fix this. What worries me, though, is the one person I want to see isn't here. They all stare at me and don't say anything. I take another breath and say, again, I know I have terrible timing, and it sucks that I dipped out. But I'm back, and I think we can still find a way to make this work. You disappeared for weeks and didn't tell us anything. How can we trust you? Aviel demands. If you want to fire me as director and kick me out of the play, I completely understand, I say sincerely. But don't give up on yourselves. You've all worked so hard on this play. Let's work together to come up with a solution. Head shifts and says, the other clubs on campus heard about what the fellowship did and got pissed. They've come together to help us raise money for the play. One of the frat houses suggested we put on a dance, and they offered to let us host it at their place. The party's tonight. It's old Hollywood glamour theme. Have you sold a lot of tickets? I ask. They're almost sold out, but we still need more donations. Hedge crosses his arms. Depending on how tonight goes, we might have enough money to put the play back on, though we still don't have anywhere to actually perform. Leave that to me, I bow. I'll come up with something. Do you promise, or are you lying again? Pineapple asks coldly. I'm not. Like I said, I know I screwed up, but let me make it right. Nobody says a word, and I think for a second that I've ruined everything. Until Sparkles comes forward and says, we all have mental health problems every now and then. What Raz did sucked, but I don't think he did it on purpose or to hurt us. He was just in a bad place, and now that he's here, we can turn things around again. We can't give up. We've come too far to turn back now. The cast shouts their agreement, and Aviel raises his voice above the noise. We forgive you, Raz, but if you're really sorry, you need to come through on a location for the play, and it's gotta be soon. We can't gather all these donations and then not put them to use. We have to be accountable with the money and do what we said we were going to. This play is my top priority, I insist. For now, let's focus on putting on that dance and getting the rest of the money we need to go forward. The group disperses. I approach Sparkles and ask softly, where's Mamie? I don't know. I told her to come, Sparkle says with a shrug. My heart fumbles into my rib cage. Mamie knew we were having this meeting and decided not to show up. I can't focus on my messed up feelings right now. We've got to get this play up and running again. I have to run to the store and buy a suit for tonight, as well as some clothes to wear. I took all my clothes back to Limesville and lost them in the great flood that was Zor's crappy rental, so I have to completely replenish my wardrobe. I don't have a lot of money left after buying 2 plane tickets, so I guess I'm stuck with Goodwill. I find a slim-fit dinner jacket, a white button-up, and black slacks at the used clothing store. Luckily, they fit me well, and I look pretty classy in the mirror. Might as well call me Humphrey Bogart. Before I run out, I grab my old pair of Ray-Bans that I stole with Bethany and slip them onto my face. I left them behind in my dorm when I fled to Limesville, but they were waiting here for me. I guess Mamie's right, and not everything from the past has to be forgotten. The frat house where the party's being held is large, old, and expensive. It fits the Hollywood glamour theme well. I walk in and see that the entire house has been decked out in gold and silver decorations. Everyone's dressed up in suits and long gowns. I walk into the vast entrance foyer and figure we have to be making some kind of money. The place is packed with students.
I enter the ballroom of the house, where people are dancing to music that's being played by the frat's DJ on a stereo setup. In the ballroom, there's a circular grand staircase that leads up to the second level. One of the cast members has brought a miniature spotlight and is fixating it on various things around the room as people dance. I find Sparkles standing by the punch bowl. "Hey," I ask, "have you seen—" She points and I turn around. My entire body goes rigid when I see her. Mamie is standing at the top of the grand staircase. The spotlight swivels, fixating on her form as she transcends down it. Her hair is set around her face in pin curls, and her lips are painted red. She wears a navy blue gown that clings tightly to her body with a flare-out skirt, and white gloves that extend to her elbows. She looks like a Hollywood starlet straight out of a black and white movie. Heads turn as the partygoers observe her descend. She's the most beautiful girl at this party. Watching her come down the staircase, immersed in the spotlight, everything in my life suddenly becomes crystal clear. Mamie loves me. She said so herself. I think I love her, too. I'm unable to move, or breathe, or think until she stands in front of me. She raises an eyebrow and I manage to blurt, "Mamie, hi, I'm here." She extends a gloved hand to me. "Took you long enough." I take it. Without words, I lead her to the dance floor, and the music changes to an old-timey song from Hollywood's golden era. It's slow, and I find my hands settling on her waist as we sway to the tune. She places her hands on my shoulders and doesn't speak. "I'm really sorry," I whisper. "I know I hurt you." Her expression reveals nothing. "I knew you'd come back, but I didn't think it'd take this long. I almost thought you weren't going to show. I didn't think I was going to come back, but all this." I look around at the party and all the cast members dancing around us. It's where I belong. Do you belong with me? She's tired of waiting around and wants to be direct. She needs an answer, because neither of us can dance around how we feel any longer. I swallow and say hoarsely, "I think so." We sway in each other's arms until the slow song ends. When the music changes to a techno clubbing tune and a bunch of drunk people swarm the dance floor, Mamie takes my hand and says, "Come with me." She takes me upstairs to a secluded balcony off the back of the house. You could see all of LA from here, spread out below the house, and the Hollywood sign in the distance. The lights of the city reflect off the night sky. Mamie takes a seat on a bench, and I sit beside her. She pivots toward me and says, "I almost gave up on you. You had me wanting to walk away. I still wonder if I should." A sickness swells in my gut. I've been stupid, I admit. Worse than stupid. I've been willfully ignorant. I didn't want to admit what we have, because it scared me. I didn't want to mess up and lose you. Her eyes soften. You could never lose me, Raz. I almost did. I ran off, and you admitted to me it's got you rethinking what we could have together. Her grip tightens on my hand. Yeah, it's hard. I knew you were going to run away the second I told you how I feel. And you did run off. But you came back to me. I've decided that's what matters. I still need to make it up to you. What I did isn't okay. It's not, but if you really want to make it up to me, I need reassurance that you're never going to leave again. The thought is crazy to consider. No way. I couldn't leave you. People leave me, Mamie. I don't choose to walk out. That's not me. But you did. You made a choice to let me go. Her gaze waters and a tear slips out. I did, but I went back on it because I could never go through with it. I reach out and wipe the tear away. Do you really think I could choose to abandon you? I was fooling myself because I can't. I care about you too much. But do you love me? The question is insistent. She doesn't want to get her heart broken again, and I realize, with awful, terrible guilt, that I've done it before. Probably a couple of times over the years. Mamie never let me see just how busted up her heart has become because of me. I've wounded her hundreds of times, and she hides it all with a smile. Puppy might have broken my heart, but what she did to me is nothing compared to what I've done to Mamie. She stuck by my side for years, praying for so long that I'd finally see how much she cares, but I've always looked the other way. I put a hand against the side of her face. I do love you, Mamie. I've been in love with you for a really long time. I just haven't let myself admit it. I'm sorry I was too foolish to see it, and that I didn't want to admit I was hurting you. I want to start over, so we can both be happy. Then let's be together. She reaches out for my other hand and threads her fingers with mine. We can promise to be there for each other no matter how hard it gets. This doesn't have to be scary, Raz. It can be safe. It will be safe. I wrap my arms around her so I can hold her. She circles her arms around my middle and holds me back as we breathe each other in. Do you want to be my girlfriend? It's easy asking her. So easy. Absolutely. Boyfriend. The moment is just about perfect. She doesn't give excuses or say why she can't. She just accepts me as I am, like I do with her. It's everything I wanted this moment to be. Mamie looks up. So how was your time back in Limesville? I let out a noise that's somewhere between a laugh and a bitter moan. It sucked so bad. Well, I could have told you that. It's Limesville. Something's different about me now that I've come back, I say. I don't. Mamie pulls out of my arms and stares at me. I don't think I can find the words, but she understands what I'm getting at without having to voice it aloud. She always does. Do you think it was the right decision? She asks. I sadly nod. I think so. I just now walked away, but I think I was fighting it for a long time. Years, really, because I didn't want to let it go. It was a part of who I was. What do you think changed your mind? She whispers. You still believed after everything you went through. She's referencing what came and did to me. The memory is distant now, because it happened so many years ago. It still hurts, but the wound doesn't cut through my soul like it used to. I contemplate her question. Well, I didn't lose my faith after what happened to me, because I knew bad people would hurt me. But I didn't believe the people who said they cared about me would hurt me. I swallow. I saw people who were of my faith fighting to take away health care from the sick and strip rights from people who are different from them. That wasn't what I was taught. They hurt Mitzi, and it's really, really hard to keep believing in this religion when all it's being used for is to hurt people, not help anyone. I realized they lied to me, because what they're fighting for isn't what all this is about. No one who claims to love God could behave like they do. If they did, they wouldn't hurt others. So they must not believe it either, and the whole thing must be made up. That may or may not be true. We don't really know, Mamie points out. That's the point. We don't, and I'm tired of guessing. I used to think I heard God's voice all the time, but in the past few years, I haven't heard a word. Nowadays, I wonder if I just made it up. Mamie moves closer to me. Maybe God just talks to you in a different way, and you don't recognize it because God's using a different voice. How can God exist if the world's like this? I ask. There's an empty space inside of me now, and it feels like it's always going to be void, because I don't get to talk to God anymore if I'm not a part of the church. Losing your faith and walking away doesn't mean losing a relationship with the divine, Mamie says. It can still exist outside of the rules. What does that mean? Do you want to know what I believe? Please. I think God is inside all of us, and in everything we do. That's why, for me, I still felt like I was part of something bigger, even after I left the church in high school. I didn't want to lose the spiritual experience and the relationship I had with God. And my pastor told me I'd never get to have that spiritual connection again if I stopped believing. I press against her, and she continues. You want to know what happened? I found out that my relationship with God actually deepened once I stopped putting all these rules on myself, because I learned that God and divinity and this big wide universe we live in, it's all inside of us.
I get to make the rules now, and I can choose what to believe. And if God is inside of me, I need to treat myself better. I learned if I'm angry at God, I'm angry at myself, and I need to understand why. I have an obligation to find my own inner peace, because spirituality goes on even after we change our minds on what we believe. Religion, faith, isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can be a really good thing, but it's up to us to figure out what that belief means and how to use it to help others, not hurt them. Her wisdom affects me deeply. How did you manage high school, Mamie? So many people were terrible to you. It was awful. She puts her head on my shoulder. I deal with the hatred of others by profoundly loving myself. I love her. I love her more than words can say. Hey, I utter, and she looks up. I press my lips to hers, and she initially reels backward in surprise, before she falls into the kiss and deepens it. She tastes amazing, and smells amazing, and everything about her is incredible. I've never felt this way before about anyone, and it deeply settles inside of me how much this woman means to me, and how badly I want to make her mine. Kissing my girlfriend for the first time, it feels like the first kiss of the rest of my life. Chapter 10. On New Year's Eve, we have a full house. The cast and the kids from the writing program at the ranch got together to build a stage at Scarlet Moon. It's a small stage, built out of wood and scraps we found lying around the recycling center, but it's ours, and nobody can take it from us. The stands we constructed are gathered in a semicircle around the stage, and every seat is taken by students from CSU, family members, and friends. We used every bit of the money we raised from the dance to make our own outdoor theater under the stars. This was how theater started thousands of years ago. Just humans portraying stories in an open auditorium to the world, and we're continuing that tradition. There's no fancy equipment or big sets, but we don't need all of that. All we need is a story and a desire to tell it to the world. The school tried to tell Ferrio he was showing favoritism by hosting the play at his ranch, but he insisted he had nothing to do with it. After all, the ranch is technically owned by Mamie's mom back in Limesville, whose name is on the deed. Ferrio just lives there, and he can't dictate to his sister what happens on the ranch after all. He's just a tenant. Uncle Logan, Aunt Sarah, and Mitzi sit in the front row, in the best seats. At first, it was a bit of a shock to see my cousin. She's losing her hair from chemo and definitely looks frail, but you wouldn't know she was sick because her smile is so huge and her enthusiasm is boundless. She's really excited to be here. I'm glad that I didn't give up on this play, because seeing her joy as she watches the performers on stage was worth everything we had to go through to get here. We tell our story in the way it deserves to be told, the way that we decided to portray it, and nobody comes to tell us it can't be done. I remain backstage behind the curtain, running around to help with whatever else the cast needs. A couple of the high schoolers from the writing program are here, including Kylie, to help out. She told me during intermission that this is actually a lot of fun, and she wants to try out her drama club next semester instead of hanging out on the streets with her old friends. That really means a lot. When the play ends, the audience gives us a standing ovation. The cast pushes me to the front of the stage and insists that I stand at the center. None of this would be possible without our director, Razberry Sweet, Aviel says, gesturing to me. Give him a hand, everybody! There are hoots and cheers from the audience, and I find myself choking up at the recognition. I didn't think life could get this perfect. Being acknowledged and seen as I am by the people who are right in front of me is worth way more than all the fame in the world. The cast joins hands, and we go to take a bow. But as is typical, I stumble backward and end up tripping, taking everyone else with me. The entire cast goes tumbling into the curtain behind us, and we tear it down. I can hear cast members snickering as everyone tries to claw their way out of it. I laugh as I lift the curtain above my head. Mamie is there beside me, and she looks up. She gives me a quick kiss before she grabs the top of the curtain and rips us back down under it. We stay under the falling curtain for a while to make out before Aviel and Hedge yank the curtain off of us. A few guys give dog whistles, and Mitzi cries from the front row.
Oh, gross!
I smile as I help Mamie up.
The cast members and the audience are intermingling, discussing the performance. As I hop off stage, a tall, handsome man approaches. I do a double take as he stops in front of me. Oh my god, it's Juan Julio. Like, the real Juan Julio. I can't believe he really exists. I mean, he looks older, but he's still buff and good-looking. Sparkles appears like she wants to faint in delight.
Juan Julio?
She screeches, clutching her heart. The man glances down at her in confusion. No, my name is Dennis. I'm a friend of Ferrio's. I came by to support his students. Sparkles reddens, then runs off to hide the cardboard cutout before Dennis sees, which is currently concealed by the falling curtain backstage. I shake his hand and say, "What can I do for you, Dennis?" "I was really impressed with the show," he says. "I used to do a lot of modeling work, but as I got older, my interests diverted toward the theater. Now I acquire new scripts with Broadway potential. Do you have any manuscripts you haven't previously produced that I could take a look at?" I suddenly lost the ability to talk. "Say something, idiot!" Mamie nudges me harshly, and I stutter. Sure. I've got a couple things." "Excellent. Here's my information." Dennis hands me a business card, then says, "Email me what you have on Monday. I'm very interested in taking a look." We wait for Dennis to walk off into the crowd. Then once he's gone, Mamie and I grab each other and start jumping up and down. She's squealing with excitement.
Broadway, Raz!
She cries.
You can be on Broadway!
I'm seeing stars and feeling dizzy. I know. I can't believe it. I thought I'd blown my chances for anything big once I'd walked off the set of Colorado Snow, but what I'm learning is there are always more opportunities to go out there and live out your dreams, even if you mess up the first time. There's a huge cast party afterward inside the event center that's on the ranch's property. My family hangs out with the crew, and Pineapple gives Mitzi acting tips, teaching her lines from the play and giving her pieces of her costume to keep. The page boy hat is too big for my little cousin and keeps slipping into her eyes. I feel really happy, watching the cast members dance, tell jokes, pull pranks, and eat pizza. I guess everything turned out pretty good. Raz, I feel a gentle hand on my shoulder. May I speak with you? It's Ferio. He seems so delighted, maybe even proud of me. Sure, I say. Ferio takes me away from the party, to a patio off the back of the building. On the patio, there are lounge chairs circling a fire pit, which is glowing with a soft flame. He gestures for me to sit down, and I do so. He takes the seat beside me. You did an excellent job as a director, Raz. Not just tonight, but throughout the semester, he begins. But I failed them, I say. I walked out. You did make mistakes, but you did your best to fix them, and all was well in the end, Ferio says. I don't wish to make you uncomfortable, but I have to admit, this semester was a bit of a test. A test? I clasped my hands together and leaned forward. Yes, I wanted to push your capabilities to the limit to see what you could handle, and see if you could understand what it is you really want. Did I pass? That is up to you, and what you decide. I'm silent as I stare at Ferio. I don't know what to say. You love acting, Raz. You love scripts, movies, drama, theater. You've changed lives with your talent. More than that, you know what it's like to face struggles, and to come out stronger for it. Ferio's eyes glimmer. How many people could you help with your gift of acting and your passion for story? How many people could you save? I'm silent as I realize he's right. Being an actor is my destiny, but it's not in the way I thought. Hollywood isn't where I belong. I've already found my home. Ferio leans forward. I've had a personal project in mind for years. I want to create a community theater, somewhere at-risk teens can go to get away from their problems and learn life skills, much like the writing program here at Scarlet Moon Ranch. But I need a director of the program, and I can't pick just anyone, Raz. A shiver runs from the top of my head all the way down my body. Are you saying I need somebody with compassion? I don't have time to run this project on my own. The idea for this theater formulated in my mind long ago. I've been searching for years to find someone with as much a love for the art of theater as I do, And now I know I'm done searching. No, I can't. I shake my head. I can't accept this. It's too much. I have the right to spend my wealth any way I please, and I think you've earned it. I don't want to see your potential go to waste, and this is my way of giving back to the community. His eyes shine even more. It's not about the money. A whole theater? I ask. I can't do it. It'll fail. We both know you'll never let that happen. Ferio clasps my arm. This is what you deserve, Raz, and more than that, it's what the community needs from you. Use your talent to help others, and make the world a better place. I wouldn't consider hiring anyone else. You're the man for the job. Will you accept? I think about how much I love volunteering at the ranch with the kids, how much fun I've had putting on the play, and how great it would be to pass on everything I've learned about acting to others. I realize I can't turn this down, because this is exactly where I need to be. I finally found where I fit in. This was what I was born to do. I can feel it in my bones. Absolutely, I say firmly. I'll do it. I'll take the job. Ferio's smile is huge. Excellent! I'll start putting my ideas into more concrete plans. The theater will be ready, say, once you graduate college? I'll be ready, too, I promise him. You can bet on that. Ferio and I spent an hour going back and forth on ideas about the charity theater. When he finally has to go, I'm feeling completely uplifted. Ferio is a great mentor. I'm lucky to have somebody like him looking out for me. What did he say? Mamie asks, coming up behind me as she watches Ferio rejoin the party. I shrug. Nothing I didn't already know all along. I stand and take Mamie's hand. You want to get out of here? I thought you'd never ask. I say goodbye to my family. I'll see them tomorrow. I'm taking them on a tour of LA in the morning. Then I give emotional farewells to the rest of the cast, but we're not going to part for long. People are already nagging me about what play we're going to do next semester. Mamie drives us back to campus. It's almost midnight, and there are New Year parties going on all around campus. The auditorium is open. We sneak in and use our phones for a light as we navigate around the pitch-black auditorium and to the green room in the back. Once we're there, I turn on a singular, soft light. Finally, alone at last, Mamie says, but she doesn't have time to finish her sentence because I reach out to grab her. I pull her against my body, kissing her again. I can hardly help it. I don't want to keep my hands off of her. Mamie smiles against my mouth as she kisses me back. She touches both sides of my face, and I hold her closer to me. I didn't think being in love could feel this good, but what we have together is incredible. I want to go back in time and punch myself for missing out on this for so long, because we could have been together years ago if I had let this happen. Guess we've got to make up for lost time. We lose our balance and fall onto the green room couch. The sex couch, to be exact. Mamie laughs. Do people really have sex on this couch? I don't know, but we're going to. I kiss her again, and my hands trail up underneath her shirt. Mamie lets out a breath as she hurriedly unbuttons my jeans. There are fireworks going off, and it's not just in this room. I can hear explosions and cheers outside as the clock strikes midnight. Happy New Year, baby, I whisper, and I kiss her again. Happy New Year, she gasps, but it turns into another moan. Nobody was lying. The sex couch really is magic. It's great. Do you think we'll get expelled if someone walks in here and sees us naked? Mamie jokes. I'm reclining on the couch, and she's laying on top of me. Neither one of us wants to put our clothes back on. I just want to keep stroking her hair. It's so soft, and she smells so good. Maybe not you, but me, for sure. I hardly passed my exams. One more strike and my ass is out of here, I tell her. But you did pass, she insists, and we'll make it to graduation together. Of course. I kiss the top of her head. Then from there on, who knows? Wherever we end up, we'll get there together. Mamie draws circles on my bare chest with her fingers, and I can tell her thoughts are anxious. Sometimes I wonder if you and Carmen had dated longer. She bites her lip because she's unable to complete the sentence. Mamie worries that she's not enough for me, that she's my second option and not my first choice. That's my fault, because I did that to her over the years and made her feel that way. It's a wound I'm going to have to mend over time by building her trust. I scoff. Yeah, right. I was kidding myself. That relationship was never going to work out. Puppy and I could never have what you and I do. She was all give and no take. Not like Mamie. She's always here for me. But I'm gonna make it so I'm here for her even more. She deserves me at my best, and I really do want to give her the world. Carmen was always jealous of me because she knew you and I had something special, Mamie whispers as she strokes a lock of my hair out of my eyes. She didn't want you to have what we share, because that meant you wouldn't chase after her. It's true. Even though Puppy hadn't liked me in that way, she still wanted to keep me all to herself. I honestly couldn't care less about Puppy. I'll be fine if I never think about her again. Whatever pain she gave me, I've forgotten. I didn't realize I could love somebody this much, I say, and I squeeze Mamie tightly. I didn't think it was possible for a person to care so deeply. You've got a lot to learn, Mamie replies. I love you more and more every day. Well, I'm going to beat her at it one of these days. Just wait and see. We lay there for a few hours together, until both of us are tired, and we figure it's time for bed. We're beat. Putting on this play, especially with all the problems we had to work out along the way, has been no picnic. We need a few days off before getting back at it. Unlikely, though. Mamie has already started making plans for our next production. I bet we'll start talking about it before noon tomorrow. On the way out of the auditorium, we walk across the stage. Our signature wall is still there. I guess we forgot to take it with us when we moved the play to the ranch, and the college didn't bother to take it down. The names and inscriptions of all the cast members are still on it, telling our story. You never signed it, Mamie says sadly, running her fingers over the signature board. I stand in front of the board and tilt my head. Then I dig in my pocket, grab a Sharpie, and lean forward to scribble a short sentence in the middle. There, I say, and I put an arm around Mamie. I want everyone to know. Mamie's got tears in her eyes as she reads what I wrote. I love Mamie Mason. Signed, Razberry Sweet. Afterward. 7 years later. It's a few days before showtime, and Mayhem Theater is bustling with loads of high school kids. They're rehearsing lines, making costumes, fixing the set, and mostly just goofing off. As director of the theater, I've got to get everyone moving, but at the moment, we're all having so much fun. I don't want to stop the party. I look around the crazed mess, wondering how we're ever going to be ready for opening night. But I guess we always pull the show together at the last minute. I love working here. It's literally my dream job. A small bout of worry grows in my chest as I look around the auditorium and realize I don't see a small child. Does anybody know where... Daddy! A wild scream erupts from the catwalks above the stage. I can feel the blood drain from my face as I witness my 3-year-old daughter sitting on the catwalks, laughing her head off and pointing at me. Mayberry! I scream and everyone stops to look upward. How'd you get up there? Her laughter only continues. I race up the stairs and carefully dart across the catwalks to snatch my child, clinging her tightly to me. You're not allowed up here, little lady, I whisper in her ear. One day you'll learn to follow the rules. Unlikely, though. She gives another giggle, and I begin the journey downstairs. The kid's as crazy as they come, with an addiction to heights, lights, and things that go boom. I predict a career as a stuntwoman in her near future. We've got to watch the baby, people, I say as I come on stage. Mamie had her last, Kylie notes as she adjusts a decoration on set. Well, where is she now? I ask. The office, I think. Signing up a new girl, she adds. With Mayberry pulling on my hair, I head toward the front of the theater, where the box office is. Mamie is looking around the office in a panic, then relaxes when she sees me carrying Mayberry. Your child was on the catwalks, I say to my wife as I deliver a quick kiss to her cheek. Again? Mamie sighs and takes Mayberry from me. I literally put her down for 2 seconds in order to process this application. I swear we're going to have to start tying her down. That is, unless she somehow figures out how to undo knots. Give her 3 weeks. I pick up a letter, the letterhead at the top, reading the name Carmen Diaga. Another donation? I ask, tossing the envelope carelessly aside. Yes, Mamie says. Carmen's been very charitable lately. The last check was $5,000. If she really wanted to make a contribution, she'd show up here and inspire some of the kids, I say. She'd be a great mentor. Puppy, Carmen, and I still haven't spoken a word to each other, and that's just fine by me. As for what I know, she's a multi-million-dollar actress. She has a condo in Havana, but is hardly ever there due to filming. She sends along donations to the theater regularly, but they're always addressed to Mamie, and not to me. I hope wherever she is, she's happy. She doesn't have kids and isn't married. From what I hear, she lives alone. I don't think about Carmen unless someone else brings her up, and my thoughts never linger on her long, or any of my old friends, really. I've moved on from all that. Mamie and I had an awesome college experience together. We got married after graduation at Scarlet Moon Ranch just before I took over as director of the Mayhem Theater, which is based outside of LA. A lot of our friends work here, including Aviel and Sparkles. Hedge and Pineapple both got jobs in the film industry, but they pop by every now and then to help out. Just as I predicted, Colorado Snow ended up tanking a few years after I left. The show got canceled after the executives switched exclusively to using AI scripts instead of real writers, because the viewer numbers sank like a rock. Representatives for Cinemix Central insisted they didn't know why the show had suddenly flopped or what went wrong. I've gotten a little bit of fame from my short appearance on the show. When the season I had filmed came out, critics had been hard on my performance and given me low ratings, but the audience had really liked my portrayal of Roy. I've done a couple of roles in other films and shows since then, and have a small fan base, but most of my effort is spent running the theater. It's where I truly belong. But I guess one good thing had come out of the computer program writing the script for Colorado Snow. The AI made Javi's small role as the stable hand into a main part, and he'd been the only good thing about the last failing seasons. He's booked a lot of jobs since then, has won multiple Oscars, and is now so incredibly famous I can't go anywhere without hearing his name. He's currently the most well-paid actor in Hollywood, and is always in demand. I'm really happy for him. He's gotten everything he wanted, and so have I. Mitzi's graduating high school this year, and I'm super proud of her. Her surgery went well, and her cancer is in remission. The doctors say there's a pretty good chance her cancer is gone for good. She wants to go to CSU, like I did, and work for the theater once she graduates. I figured it couldn't get any better, until Mamie got pregnant a few years back. Mayberry was a happy surprise, and I've loved every minute of being a dad. My life's so awesome. I never would have thought it was possible to be this happy back when I was in high school. I wish I could go back in time and tell that lost, scared kid I used to be that everything was going to be okay, and that it would all turn out better than he imagined. I can't, so I try to do that for other kids now. I guess it's like what Mamie said all those years ago. I still talk to God, but he speaks to me in a different way than he did before. And I guess I listen differently too. I glance at Mamie's papers, trying to skim them quickly. Who do we have coming in? Her name's Ruth. She was referred here from the Domestic Violence Center. We seem to be getting a lot of kids from there lately, I say, looking at the paperwork. She's had a bit of trouble with the law. She's waiting out in the hall. Mamie looks up at me and bites her lip. Looks like she needs a second chance. I give my daughter a kiss on the head before handing her off to her mother. I look at her sternly and say, "Stay with Mommy, or I won't let you help with the show. Got it?"
Sure,
Mayberry bursts. I'm not satisfied that's a good answer, but I ruffle her hair and leave it at that. I walk into the hallway and see a girl with black hair sitting in an abandoned chair. She kicks the carpet and doesn't let her eyes leave the floor. I still have those old Ray-Bans from years ago. I reach up to adjust them, putting them onto my head instead of over my eyes. "Ruth," I say as I draw near. She glances up at me. I see that once she meets my eyes, her own dart away. I smile kindly at her and say, Razberry Sweet, director of the Mayhem Theater. Everyone around here calls me Raz. I heard you wanted to join our little troupe? She nods, rushing into her words. If you didn't mind, I already know what I want to do. My whole life I've wanted to try it out, but I've never gotten the chance. And what is that? She looks up at me, eyes shimmering. I want to act. The end. Thank you for reading the Razberry Sweet series. You can find other books at meganlinsky.com. This has been Lights, Camera, Razberry Sweet. Razberry Sweet, Book 3. Written by Megan Linsky. Narrated by A.J. Carter. Copyright 2023 by Megan Linsky. Audio copyright 2023 by Megan Linsky.